It takes a minute, but
It does, I promise.
I managed to do it.
It says.
Yes.
You can probably get to be a guest internet because old buildings in New York City are delightful for Wi-Fi and signal.
Yes, you can do.
Welcome everybody to the December meeting of Manhattan Community Board on Transportation and Street Activity. We have 5 agenda items today. Thanks. We'll start with a couple of things from last month that we couldn't vote on because we didn't have quorum. And that will go on to the DOT presentation about Canal Street, and then finish up with remaining items from last month and on. Anyway, so let's start with intro 1233-2025. Again, this was well vetted last month. We spent 2 hours on these, but couldn't vote. So I hope all of you did get to read the resolution, which I sent a link to. If you want to go to the next slide. And the next one. Just to remind people from last month and those who are new to it, it applies only when there's this is requiring greenery next to bike lanes. And it applies when there's a new median separating a bike lane from the travel lane, from the vehicle lane. It's done DOT in collaboration with the Parks Department.
This is 1233. Right, thank you.
Must be on the agenda.
And then if it's feasible, the DOT must design and build. But again, it's very specific which one. It's not all bike lanes by any means. Next. And to remind people that, you know, there is encouragement from the DOT, so there's some hope that the street design manual does already include it. There's nothing that doesn't exist at this point. This law will just codify the best practices, and it's things that we've been asking for in our district. There are broader goals like pedestrian cyclist safety, but also heat and stormwater mitigation, and public realm beautification and livability. As we know, in places like Tribeca, there are so many sidewalk vaults that they can't really have trees in many locations. This would be a place if they could plant them, it would be a big plus. Next. Yeah, whether or not it's feasible, again, this is not a guarantee that it's going to be feasible in every place it's requested or that's built. It is not looking backward at existing lanes either. They might do it, the DOT might do it, but this law isn't covering that. No? Yes. So any other comments? I'm going to leave this over to Brendan because I know you're.
Question?
Second. Let's vote by affirmation. You assumed a yes unless you vote otherwise. So are there any nays?
Wait, this is the vote or?
Is it
It's just
This is- okay.
The
This is for
vegetation when the planting.
1233, right?
1233.
Okay, Eric, you votes no.
We have 1 no. Are there any abstentions? Any recusals? I can't see Sandy.
He's on.
But I can't see.
Assume he's a.
He's there. His camera is
I
also
understand.
on.
I said,
But what,
I don't know about.
he needs to unmute himself
he
and
doesn't.
vote, doesn't he?
No.
Oh,
It's a vote by affirmation.
Got
He
it.
only votes orally if he's in opposition,
Got it.
refuses, or
Okay.
abstains.
It passes.
Yes, it passes all but 1. So we can go on to the second
okay.
agenda item, which was support of CB3's resolution.
Yep.
Yeah, about the changes. You can see it. Next one. Next one. Okay, this is support of CB3's resolution asking expeditious safety improvements to the Manhattan Bridge, around the Manhattan Bridge. So offerings. Again, we did this last month, so we're just bringing it back for the vote. Go forward, just as a quick reminder to people. Oh, therefore be it resolved.
Do you remember what page their CB3 resolution was on? Because it was a 17-page attachment.
It was towards the end. I don't remember the page.
I was gonna say, it was in, those who got today's mail, it went.
It
Yeah.
was 17. Okay, well,
That's what I-
all right. Hang on a quick sec. And appreciate your patience.
But anyway, this accounts for the fact that some of the things they asked for, we already have agreed to CB1 in other ways, so what's new to it that's from there is lowering the bridge's speed limit near Canal Street to 20 miles per hour. So not the whole bridge, just as they approach Canal Street. This has actually already been done. We were told it was gonna be done. And using automated enforcement and or additional methods to improve safety, approaching Bowery and Christie Streets. And the next, these are things that CB1 has already supported in the past, so that's why it's separate from the others. Short-term street geometry adjustments are complementary, I can't see it, indicators to improve safety and manage speeds, installing hardened barriers, and increasing the number of leading pedestrian signals along Canal Street. These were on signed letters to the DOT commissioner from elected officials and chairs of CB1, 2, and 3. Agreed to these things in the past. So this is really a continuation of things that already exist. I took it directly from the letter.
I was just looking at their resolution.
At their resolution.
Yeah, there's just,
Yeah, so we're supporting parts of it, and it's these things in these two, therefore be it resolved, are the parts we resolve, that we are supporting. Other parts are less relevant to us. And
Call the question.
so,
No,
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 no, I got some, yeah,
Question.
not yet.
go ahead.
there were other parts of this proposal, closing Walker Street. That's not part of this because that's not part of.
that was not in their resolution, to my
Okay.
recollection anyway, but it is not in this. I can, yeah.
So,
Can we speak to it though, or no?
no, not
It's not
this,
in this.
because
Either you support the resolution or you don't. We're supporting if
Well-
it's, alterations.
I do want to be supportive of their resolution. I'm going to start by saying that. But the one thing, because we have also supported expansion of speed cameras and lowering speed limits and radar signs and passive enforcement, additional barriers. The one thing that, I want to make sure our resolution says is that, we support the goals of safety and all of the other things. They have in here evaluate the necessity of the number of inbound Manhattan lanes. And I don't know what that's in reference to, whether it's in general. I mean, if it's asking for a study, I think that's great because we're
That's why we didn't include that in our resolution.
perfect. And yeah, okay, great.
I was gonna say,
Cheers.
so I said it was really just on those
Yeah,
two.
that's
so
not
let's
our,
get down to what applied to us and what was kind of outside of.
So this resolution, the DOT plan, that's the part that's in CB3's, purview. They make no reference on maintaining traffic capacity. I mean,
But that's next agenda item.
that's the next one.
This one.
This is just the CB3 resolution.
But then if they,
Not the DOT.
if they support reducing the speed limit, then that would,
It has to do with how fast people come over the Manhattan Bridge, because there was another accident, I believe, this past weekend, same kind of a cosmic concept. People were injured because people are speeding. When there's no traffic, because congestion pricing has reduced the amount of traffic, people are then using the Manhattan Bridge like a speedway. And so the goal is to reduce the speed limit, so as you're coming into the slower zone and the more heavily pedestrian zone, that the cars are slowing down instead of speeding up.
but those other references, those comments about components of the plan,
That we're not doing yet.
but on what was in it, those changes will reduce traffic flow, only on the ones that were mentioned.
But we're not doing the Canal Street. This is the CB3 resolution that they passed and asked us to partner because we're trying to be all good citizens in the neighborhood about expeditious safety improvements to the Manhattan Bridge off-ramp. That's the limitation of this resolution
Okay.
that we're supporting. It is not about anything that is from the off-ramp west. It is really just to get because it's okay, come on in, don't worry, we don't bite. It is really about getting to a point that no matter how many cars or trucks or buses or anything that it is that when you come off the ramp,
Mhm.
that the off-ramp is a slower zone and people aren't just flying. That's the entire goal of the CB3 resolution. You can look at it. It's on the agenda. You can click through. And I went through just to back through to read it because, again, last weekend, over the holiday weekend, there was another traffic accident there. And it's always about the cars speeding over the bridge, unless DOT can tell me something differently. And there's, you can't, we have to use whatever toolkits we have to get people to slow down till they get on the island.
But within that resolution, there were also general measures like saying, safety, enhancements, but
Yeah.
that could mean altering the timing where the bridge traffic has less time.
That's why we're very specific about what's written in our resolution. that
Right.
We support. What we support is very specific.
It's not everything that they asked for. We support the general goals that we've supported before. To slow people down.
I would like to say also that since DOT is here, what other tools do you have in your toolbox? I mean, for
Can we
example,
wait until we get to where it's relevant, please?
I'd like to finish this.
No,
Say-
please.
To say that.
He's
always
asking.
the Same thing,
It's trying to
same
cut
option
out into everything else for
of
council.
not, maybe we should have a bridge over Canal Street. It's all that public space.
He's moving.
We should find other ways of.
But
doing
that's
things.
the topic of Canal Street. That is not the topic of the current thing that Betty is saying. The current thing that Betty is saying is we are passing a resolution in support of the CB3 requests for the current off-ramp, not the plans for the future, not the redesign, not the potential concepts, not any of the other things. This is about current day safety in an immediate situation for a short-term benefit that we can get while they are doing the long term. So don't ignore the problems that we have for safety while we're planning for the bigger and better. Solve the safety because we don't want anybody else hit as people are coming over that bridge too quickly. You understand what I mean? This is the short term. You're talking about the long term, and that's the next conversation.
Unfortunately, the short term turns into the long term, but all right.
So the speed reduction is only time to build this.
Betty?
Can I just ask a question? The last whereas on the CB3
Don't worry
resolution.
about CB3's resolution. We're not voting on their resolution.
Correct.
Okay,
We are voting on our resolution.
You put our therefore be resolved, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's done. This part you want?
okay.
This what you're looking for, Carrie?
Therefore, be it resolved. Was there a therefore or just be a further?
This is be it further. The one before is lowering the bridge speed, that by roads.
Yep.
Automated enforcement. Cody.
See, this is just current day. And then the next one. Zach?
Cody?
Just one point. To emphasize the installation of hardened barriers. I mean, it's amazing there aren't more than hardened barriers in that intersection as it is. I mean, it's, people are vulnerable. It's like, and it should have been done a long time ago. And no New Yorker should go out and say, and that's,
And it's crazy because it's such a beautiful bridge. There's public space. I
yeah.
mean, it'd be really nice if it was a safe place for people to gather.
I'm
Amazing.
terrified.
Any more questions with you?
No,
What's
I
it say? Ready to vote?
called the questions.
Okay.
Second.
I don't get to call the question ever at the full board. This is so much fun.
Anybody against? This again be by affirmation. Is anybody opposed?
Oh, Eric, you. No.
Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Okay, then the resolution passes.
So
Then we can move on to our big agenda. Thank you very
We
much.
didn't do the 1,000.
we didn't do 1,000. That's the only one we need to do.
That's the one about the.
For hire vehicle.
That's after.
Oh, we're gonna wait, okay,
There's no reason to do that.
and make these guys wait, yeah.
Just make everybody wait.
Can we just get it over with?
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
mean,
easy, I mean,
I think,
there's nothing to
I
talk
don't
about
think
that
you're
one.
gonna get a lot of back push on that one.
Yeah, no, that one's a,
Less than 2
All right.
minutes.
Yeah,
Okay, then you have to go very end, you may have to go at the very end of the slides and then come all the way back.
oh, yes, I am motioning to limit debate on this,
no,
topic.
yeah, this,
Anybody even need to see anything
No.
about this?
This was
No,
the
we're
first
good.
topic item.
So
You guys-
this is great. Don't have to therefore resolve or anything else.
No.
We're way at the end of the slide deck.
Call the question?
second,
Anybody who is opposed? This is about the commercial parking and sharing it with the for-hire vehicles. Is there anybody refused? Anybody who's, what's the other?
Abstained.
Abstained. Then it passes unanimously, so
Okay.
thank you.
that was easy, yeah. That one was easy.
Was that motion two?
Say
That
again,
was one, that was intro 1,000.
Oh.
We're not actually in support of allowing
having the cars sit.
for hire vehicles
Mm-hmm,
to stand in commercial parking meters.
because commercial property needs
Because
to be
commercial
there,
parking needs to be there.
yeah.
This is one of the worst in the city for.
For hire.
complaints.
Mhm.
I can't eat.
Right, yeah, right, there you go.
Placards are, that's fine, that's what
I
I
know.
want to
Thanks
see.
for the maybe conversation.
Can you dance?
Sorry.
If you'd like to take the floor and introduce yourself and your colleagues online and let us know that we can, some panelists, I can't see.
Want to start first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't met yet.
Stand up.
Yes, of course.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Danielle Zuckerman. I just started as Manhattan Borough Commissioner in August. We're excited to bring this proposal to you tonight, and I know a lot of you have seen it and reviewed it already. So I think what's most useful here is, really specific feedback so we can, enhance the proposal and respond to some of the concerns you have. But, we do see that there are safety challenges on Canal Street that we're hoping to alleviate. Looking forward to hearing your feedback.
I would request that because of the way the owls work,
Come sit here, I'll move on.
coming to the table to present or standing,
Please,
Danielle is petite, and so the cameras don't get her, no offense intended, when you are standing behind the people who are seated at the table.
Where, and
Uh,
I think they're gonna be doing the presentation primarily, it makes sense to put them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all can stand up,
you
but yeah,
can stand or just,
I'll move over.
All right.
You can take their seat while they come.
Yeah.
exactly.
You'd like to move up.
So I mean, the first question that we have is that this is the same presentation that we
Do you
presented.
mind introducing yourself?
Sorry, my name is Dan Wagner. I thought Betty did. I am the director for project development and delivery for the public realm unit inside the OT. And
I'm Amy Howden Chapman. I'm one of the project managers on the Canal Street project, and we're here with our colleague Sam Hope, who's also one of the project managers.
And
Hi, Kate Shire, Lower Manhattan Borough Planner at the Manhattan Borough Commissioner's Office.
great. So what I was trying to say is that we presented this to the public forum a week and a half ago. It's the same presentation. There are no updates. So we are happy to present it again if you would like. If one person wasn't there, maybe it's worth it. If you want to skip straight to the conversation, we are also happy to do that, and we have it as reference.
let's ask.
Great.
Well, it's unlikely everybody attended.
Great,
Yeah.
then Amy will present.
Yeah, and I'll probably go through it slightly faster because many of us did see it,
Yeah.
and then we can always come back if you have questions or comments. Where am I?
You're pointing to here.
Okay.
delay,
Okay.
because of, that's on the,
As many of you know, we have an ongoing survey. It's open until the end of the year. These are the QR codes. This is the primary way we're collecting feedback. If you haven't, even if you come to in-person events, we really encourage you to give your feedback via the survey so we can quantify all the results. And I'll be going through some of those results tonight.
And we have been and will again, weekly share the survey on our social media, and, by email to try and get as much input as we can.
Thank you.
So, we have been doing outreach throughout the summer, this round of outreach, and into the winter. We did another round of outreach in 2022, but during this round, we're presenting this proposal. We're really asking for specific feedback We did 4 on-street events a couple of months ago, starting at September, going into October. And then we had an event at PS 130, had around 250 conversations with folks there. And then, of course, the conversation, the joint forum on the 24th with CB 1, 2, and 3. A majority of the conversations we have with folks are supportive, and the survey results on the right show there that a majority of the survey responses, between 70 and 80%, are supportive. However, we do know that there's a lot of folks who have concerns about the proposal, especially in the eastern part of the corridor in Chinatown. There's a couple of photos here on the left. Two of our on-street events were at Walker Street Slip, and we closed the slip during that event. And other pictures of on-street events on the right. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through all these comments, but as I mentioned, there's a variety of feedback we're getting, and they can be, there's, certain buckets of feedback we're getting from folks. Many folks are saying they want this plan to happen, and they want it to happen faster, possibly to have a more ambitious plan. We're hearing folks say they want a bike lane all down Canal Street. They want a safe place to walk and bike. We're having folks saying that Canal Street is really dangerous. It's very difficult to cross. And then we have folks saying they want more sidewalk space. We also have many folks saying that the roads, are already clogged, that traffic is a real issue, and they're worried this plan will make it worse. The theme of vending, whether legal or illegal, has come up a lot, and how that will impact how that currently impacts Canal Street sidewalk space, and how it might impact the extended space we're proposing is another common comment. The Cycling and Micromobility Unit, who we're working in collaboration with on this project, also did a round of outreach along Grand Street, because we're considering upgrading the bike lane there. Some notable feedback: a lot of businesses don't have a set time for delivery, that there's a steady amount of deliveries, and that deliveries mentioned that vehicles parked alongside the street kind of have to use cane carts or walk to the place, that there's no direct space to make deliveries. And you can see there's some other observations there. All right, so as we move into the bulk of the presentation, which is showing what our design proposal is, I just want to flag that we've developed this proposal over a long period, beginning in with the community feedback we gathered in 2022. We've also done in-depth safety and crash data analysis. We've looked at vehicle volumes. We did a large traffic model, looking at, where there are vehicles throughout the corridor, throughout surrounding streets, and that helps us analyze what the impact would be of any changes to vehicle capacity. We took counts before and after congestion pricing for that. And we also looked at the loading needs of businesses along the corridor. You can see here, and we know from many of your comments and observations, that Canal is an extremely dangerous corridor with a huge number of injuries and some severe injuries and fatalities. So this is the west side of Canal Street. You can see key dangerous intersections are at the West Side Highway, at 6th Ave, and then at Broadway. On the east side, again, you can see there's severe injuries in many places along the corridor, especially at Bowery, which was the topic of the previous amendment. So this safety data is one of the key key items that's driving our desire, along with, requests from the community for many years to make safety improvements along Canal Street.
That's strange.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so high-level goals of this project are to relieve pedestrian crowding and improve sidewalk accessibility, improve crossing safety and comfort, simplify complex intersections for all users, for pedestrians, for those in vehicles, for those on bikes, and to rebalance vehicle space with public space, as well as improving bike connections. We know that folks have been asking for years for proper bike connections east to west. We know this is a key vehicle corridor, but it's also a place where bike connections are lacking. You can see there's kind of a dearth of the green lines, which are existing bike routes along Canal Street, but there's no easy way to get east to west. And we know there's some key places that folks are biking, like the West Side Highway, Hudson River Greenway, and those people are often trying to get to the bridges, Williamsburg Bridge or Manhattan Bridge. So, wow, got some fluorescent colors here. So this is a very large project. In order to talk it through and also to do, adequate community engagement, we've broken it into different chunks. So primarily today we'll be talking about Canal Street West and Canal Street East. But given that we're covering a lot of Lower Manhattan here, we really need to think about the process of designing this in concert with other locations. So we'll talk a little bit about the Grand Street Bike Connection, which is our solution with our colleagues in cycling and micro-mobility to not being able to fit a cycle lane on the extent of Canal Street. But we also want to flag that we're taking an in-depth look at Church Street because we know that that has implications for Canal Street and also a corridor that we want to take a fresh look at. The Bowery Bike Connection is a future project that we're trying to think about in concert with the design of Canal Street. And then there's Canal Street Lower East Side, which has a different engagement process and slightly different community, but we would just want to flag that as an agency and as a public realm unit, we're also looking at that location. Yes, this is the best slide, I think, to talk about the bike connection, which we are, I don't know if the Alice
the top, if you take a look at the top.
This is the.
Yep, that is a.
Oh, pointed at this, you'll do better.
Oh my goodness. Here. Okay, so is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Watt Street is within the bubble of Canal Street.
Sorry, if you double click the top.
Oop.
Oops. The top button. You have to go back now. There you go.
Nope.
Very.
Double click it.
So, let's see here. It's working on a big. No, it's not working right. I'm sorry. It's supposed to give you a different pointer that would be a little better than the type.
The bright red one.
The bike connection, we're looking at Watt Street for a couple of blocks for folks to get off the West Side Highway. Then it'd be on Canal Street for 2.5 blocks and then would divert via Varick and 6th Ave.
It doesn't show for anybody who's online, that's why.
So if there's nobody afraid to stand there.
I'll go through it on next slides too. That is the bike connection we're looking at. Watt Street, Canal Street for a few blocks and then up to Grand Street.
I can have Zach help you because Zach can highlight it on Zach, when she's talking about
It
it.
should show online.
It's not, so, and it's very
Because it's
difficult.
very small.
Could you use the mouse and pointer, please? It'll be a 2-person expedition.
I can speak while we're waiting a little bit about the timeline. we're looking to begin implementing this project in our implementation season, which is next summer. We are not quite sure of the phasing yet. We know this is a very large project and may take 2 implementation seasons to complete. We may be able to implement it in 1 season, depending on resources and the final design. But one thing we'd like to hear from folks is what they'd like to see first, what they'd like to see last. And yes, so I'll also say, I'll mention this at the very end, but also say this is a proposal. We're still seeking specific in-depth feedback. We will be returning to CB1 and other community boards in 2026 to present the final design.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Double click, you can roll between those, but if you pointed at this, you'll be better.
Okay,
We won't
so
have
the
delay.
Watts Street bike lane would be here, here, divert either at Barrett or at Watts up to Grand.
What street is that? Yeah, what is that? Can
I
we-
think you have a close-up, don't you?
Yes, I'll go forward because
Yeah,
you can
there
see
you go.
here where, so this is the very western portion of our proposal. There's 5 of these slides and they together cover the entire length of our
Okay.
proposal. So you can see here, we're looking at a 2-way protected bike lane on Watt Street. We're also looking at implementing some crossings, especially the crossing from Hudson River Park across the West Side Highway to make better connections to Canal Park, and then Canal Park at Washington.
Washington, yeah.
Better connections and better pedestrian
Try a different one.
safety.
Zach, can you just operate it so that?
Yeah, it's easier if you do it.
He doesn't know what I'm pointing at.
Well,
Right.
when she says it, she.
He doesn't know this neighbor's
Oh.
like that.
I think I might know.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah,
Even so-
use this one. There you go.
But she changes it.
Yeah.
Take it, she
She
changes
changed
to
it.
something else.
Okay, painful, everyone, I'm sorry.
Let's
don't-
just, Zach, just have to help her.
Yeah.
Because let's not worry about this. It's.
Watt Street is the bottom street there, right? With the.
Yes,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
so
Can you go back one more? And my question for you is, are you gonna take? Are we going through the entire presentation and then we'll go questions section by
I think
section?
that would be better. Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah, and then we go back.
the parking protected bike lane moves on to Canal Street for, as I mentioned, a couple of blocks. Between Varick Street and Sixth Ave, we're proposing to reduce the eastbound travel lane from 2 lanes to 1 lane in order to fit that parking protected bike lane. Also, our traffic analysis shows us that that is enough space for the vehicles that are traveling east at that location. We need more lanes with folks trying to get to and from the tunnel, but at this location, we only need 1 eastbound travel lane. That also allows us to add a concrete pedestrian and cycle island at the intersection of Sixth Ave and Canal Street. This intersection is one of the places where we heard the most comments about the dangers and the long crossing distances, and where we were asked to make improvements. We are looking at simplifying the signal timing here. This proposal allows eastbound vehicles on Canal Street as well as eastbound vehicles on Light Street to travel at the same time, which means we can have a signal timing change with fewer phases. The whole intersection would process more quickly, effectively. It would, we think, reduce gridlock at this intersection. We are proposing a left turn ban at West Broadway and at other locations, in this section of Canal Street, also at Green Street. In this middle section, we're proposing some curb extensions to shorten crossing distances and create more safer, shorter intersections. We are also proposing a new crossing at Worcester Street. Moving into the Chinatown section of Canal Street, we are looking at repurposing the rush hour travel lane to be for pedestrian space. We know that this is the area of Canal Street where we see the most pedestrian crowding. We know, as you can see, there's a number of subways along here, which also lead to pedestrian crowding, relatively narrow sidewalks. So we're looking at repurposing this space, creating wider sidewalks, super sidewalks. These would be reinforced with edge objects, planters, granite blocks, or the like. These have the advantages of creating shorter crossing distances and creating a safer corridor. You can also see to the very right of the screen, we're looking at closing the Walker Street slip between Baxter Street and Canal Street, as I spoke about at the very beginning.
Everything that's orange is closed, yes.
From what day, I mean, from what street to what street?
From Broadway to,
Broadway to Elizabeth.
Probably to this.
the block from Elizabeth to Bowery, there's slightly less pressure on the sidewalks, there's less activity there, less folks using it. And we want to maintain the right turn lane onto Bowery from Canal Street. This will also require streamlining the curb regulations, moving a lot of the loading onto the side streets. As I mentioned, we've done a lot of engagement over the last couple of months. We will be taking all the feedback that we have received and looking at our proposal, trying to integrate comments. And then we'll be returning to you early next year to show you the final proposal with implementation beginning in spring 2020. Summer 2026. All right, we can begin answering questions.
Yes.
I'm going to read something from Alice first, just to get that out of the way. That was a general comment about the whole thing. Alice is our vice chair, as you know, and she wanted something read this evening. She couldn't make it. So I'm going to read this for her.
I make a comment that this is going to be a longer period of time that's allowed to other speakers in the room.
Mm-hmm. It should. Okay, and we'll send this along in written form as well. It says, okay, she has 6 points. And I'm going to burn my Alice blank hat. The proposed redesign plans are notably deficient in addressing environmental concerns and sustainability, which must be an integral component of any contemporary street design. The current plans contain no indication of greening elements, existing vegetation inventory, or proposed plantings, including trees, rain gardens, or other green infrastructure. The omission is particularly concerning given the legislative initiatives, specifically from Councilmember Botcher's introduction, which mandates that planting and vegetation on new medians, which of course we just talked about, separating bicycle lanes from motorized traffic. The Canal Street redesign should explicitly incorporate and illustrate compliance with this legislation by clearly showing proposed greening opportunities throughout the corridor. Interagency coordination clarification required. There's insufficient clarity regarding how the Department of Parks and Recreation and DEP are collaborating with DOT on any of the Canal Street plans. Given the proposed scope and the need for integrated green infrastructure and sustainable stormwater management, any resolution CB1 does should require DOT to provide a clear framework detailing the roles, responsibilities, and coordination mechanisms amongst these agencies in the redesign process. Resiliency measures addressed. The plan should address flood mitigation strategies and infrastructure hardening similar to resilience work being implemented by the Port Authority, giving Lower Manhattan's vulnerability to climate impacts, storms. Resiliency planning must be integrated in any of these design phases looking ahead. Timeline for updates in Church Street. The community requires clear commitments regarding regular update presentations to CB1 and the overall Canal Street implementation timeline, and a specific date by which the Church Street plans would be presented to the community for review and input. The current materials indicate a phased approach, but a lack of a specific timeline about when distinct segments would be brought forward for the community's consideration. Graphic clarity and legend improvements. The plan graphics require improvement for public comprehension. The current presentation is unclear to where existing parks, existing trees, proposed new greening areas, which I don't think there are, and proposed bike lanes are located. The elements appear to overlap or are indistinguishable in the current color schemes, with all the elements sharing a green color. The plan should be a little bit more clear. Comprehensive legend with distinct colors and patterns that differentiate existing parks, green spaces, green streets, pedestrian plazas, existing street proposals, street trees, and proposed new plantings and greening, and any proposed bicycle infrastructure that's needed along the path. Detailed plans for expansion. The areas designated for expansion, such as Walker and Church intersection area, require individual detailed plans showing how these spaces will be designed with specific attention to green features. The current generic placeholder designations in the expansion area plan should indicate to include specific specifications such as street trees, plantings, permeable surfaces, planters, rain gardens, and other sustainable elements. I just got it out of the way all at once. There you go. And we will forward her comments in writing.
Would you like to respond to any of those?
We have heard these from Alice herself,
Yep.
and we have responded to Alice specifically directly already.
On the greening here, because I'm reading it out as CB1. So whatever you've shared with Alice, we would certainly love to see for CB1.
It was
Who-
a conversation.
Okay, well, as a conversation that doesn't help the general public.
Maybe high level, we could respond, like I think many
Yep.
of the greening elements she mentioned would be contemplated in a future capital project. And so this is being implemented in-house in paint and, when we do, projects in concrete, I think that's where we have the opportunity to explore some of those sorts of materials. And just on some of the other questions, I mean, in terms of there was a comment about the design being a little bit preliminary. I think, we're still in a preliminary phase of this and we're interested in the feedback on, what more granularity folks want to see. But Dan, if there's anything else. to add.
No, I mean, exactly, like, the colors confusion in the plans that she pointed out, we were like, okay, yes, this is a very good point. We will work to do better, but it's been the same, we've been doing a round of outreach using the same materials, so we haven't had a chance to update it.
Thank you, because you clarified one of my questions that I was going to ask, and I think people are confused. But this is going to be a kind of short-term quick fix that can be expedited very quickly with paint and other low-cost features. It is not a capital project.
I think there's potential in the future, but until we know the design, I don't think we would advance a capital process.
I'll ask my own questions later.
Well, I was going to say, can I see who's on? Oh, you can't see who's online. You,
Yes, you can. We can stop this.
only this one. Okay, because we're going to let people ask questions. I'm going to put a 90-second limit. Carrie will be keeping time on people.
Are we doing board questions first or?
We'll start with board members and they can have 2 minutes apiece if they have something to say, or if they want to delay and ask.
We should
later.
keep it even for the public and the board members. We should not differentiate.
It's never been the same.
I would appreciate if we do 90 seconds for board members, if we're doing 90, and you can come back around again. Equity is going to be important in this room.
Hey, you get no benefits of being on committee. You, like everybody else.
Will you go more than once then for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, may or may not, no promises, because it depends on what time.
And I think we should pull up the slide first that the person wants to comment on, because otherwise it's hard to manage.
Should we start at
That's fine.
Watt Street perhaps and then go across?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, do you want to?
Start at the West Side Highway.
Yeah, West Side Highway and go through.
Zach, can you go
Yeah,
back?
that's Wall Street.
Are you going first, Carrie?
Well, you can take the crossing of
I just was
West Street
suggesting
itself.
Did you want Carrie to go first, or who's going first?
I'll say if people have questions, and this is kind of a complication, we're gonna restrict questions only to this at this time and go around with that.
I think,
Have you decided, Tammy, do you want to just lead the meeting?
That works.
I got your time.
Okay, who's starting? Who's asking first?
Well, say since Justine has already asked, we might as well start with her.
Start with me, thank you. Well, I'm just gonna start off with a basic high-level question. I understand, as you explained to Betty, this is the preliminary designs, this is gonna be I'm gonna say the easy, fast fix, and then you're gonna do things deeper. What is the prohibition, if any, to creating a master plan that then gets implemented in pieces? Because I would love to have Alice, like, I hear you say, well, we're starting with paint and lines, but eventually that paint and lines is gonna come into structures. It would be lovely to have a plan at the beginning that we could opine on to see what those would be down the road. And it may be 10 years, 15 years down the road, and of course, possibly subject to change. But having a bigger picture, I think, would put my mind at rest. And, yeah, I'm almost done. And, yeah, I think that's it. What would prohibit that?
One of the advantages of doing it in paint is that you can see how it works.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is in your plan for the end, the capital project, and then do the paint first, and then, you have all your stages.
It's,
You understand what I mean?
I know
You
what
get
you're
my
saying. It's,
question?
it's not an incorrect approach to planning. The challenge with it is that these quick fix stuff that we do, we think is the right thing to do, and we learn along the way, and so then we want to change it, and we look back at some of the stuff we've done 10 years ago, and we're like, what were we thinking? Even though I was the one doing the thinking, and I thought it was the right thing. We keep learning, we keep evolving, and we keep changing, and those long-term timelines that you're talking about end up floundering because we keep trying to tinker and we keep trying to change, we keep trying to change it. Canal Street has been the subject of study after study after study, and very little has happened. And that's what we're trying to unlock with this vision. Instead of doing the big picture, it keeps floundering, it keeps not moving forward. So we're trying a different approach.
I will add that we work in concert with the capital team, both within our unit and in DOT, and we're bouncing ideas off them where we are thinking about possible future capital improvements. So that's not, out of the realm of our thinking, but we are using these short-term fixes.
Thank you.
Other committee members? Eric,
So,
and then Cody?
I was just gonna ask you, if you could just give me just a little bit more detail on Sixth Avenue and Canal Street, the intersection, because that's,
That's not this slide.
That's not this
We're
slide.
just doing one slide at a time.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I know, just for this section.
I can show you here.
Eric, do you have a question about this?
Yes, on Hudson Street, you're creating an island, and that would be for cyclists. I'm concerned that would lead to crowding on that island.
That's an existing island.
That is existing island?
Yeah.
Okay, but now we'll have a bike lane feeding into it, okay.
No.
Yeah, on canal.
Are you talking about Watts?
There's no,
Yeah, I
There's
don't
a
see how.
bike lane on Watts. Is that what you're looking at?
No, on the street furthest to the right there.
That island
Yes,
is already there.
It's already there.
That's it, Hudson.
This is a new island at Watt Street. This is an existing island at Hudson.
Okay,
The bump out about the bump out there on Watts?
no, the further one to the right. So that one is existing.
Yeah.
The one to the right is already there. That's where you make the right turn onto Canal if you're not going to.
So I'm also concerned that, well, how would you address traffic capacity if you're converting that section of canal only to one lane? Let's say there's an obstruction, let's say there's a garbage truck, let's say there's a disabled vehicle. How would traffic flow in case there's an obstruction to the travel emergency vehicle. Or emergency vehicle.
I mean, we do use bike lanes as emergency vehicle access in certain locations in the city, and if that was the case, I think that the ambulance or whatnot would end up using the bike lane if there was a full obstruction. Generally speaking, though, for the traffic capacity question that you asked, the volume of traffic that travels between Hudson and Sixth Avenue is surprisingly low compared to what we all envision Canal Street traffic to look like, which is why we went forward with this proposal. We don't think that it will cause any kind of congestion backup and of course, you never know when some vehicle breaks down, but again, it's not something that we foresee happening very much.
But in your studies, what happens if there's, as it happened this year, if there's a protest
think
on
we're
the
limiting
Brooklyn
time.
Bridge and they block lanes?
You
or-
just got 10 seconds.
And people will need to use Canal Street as another route to get off of Manhattan.
There's a protest that's blocking most of the lanes on Canal Street. I'm not sure how any of these
No.
would affect that.
On the Brooklyn Bridge. That's another route that people would use. They have two choices, but if the Brooklyn Bridge is obstructed, how would traffic, there would be an increase of traffic on Canal. That's my point. Do your studies
Eric?
account?
You're done. 90 seconds, sorry.
Thank you. Anybody else? Because I see some people online, but just so they know, I see you, but we're doing committee members first. Tammy and then Carrie?
I said it, I think before, I'm gonna say it again. I have issues with the counts that were taken post congestion pricing, because I can guarantee 100% as a traveler to Jersey from Manhattan that the police do put cones out on Canal Street at West and redirect traffic
All the time.
consistently. So when we were told that the counts were much lower, congestion pricing, it doesn't track for what you're doing, because the police are artificially controlling the flow onto Canal Street. So I have real concerns about some of the changes that we're looking at and having this discussion about capacity and things like that, when I know that they are changing it, which has artificially forced more people to take, other streets in Tribeca or go around onto Spring Street. I don't know how you can account for that, but it is a reality, a daily reality that NYPD does. So I need you to address that for us. And the other question that has never been asked and presented is what other alternatives were eliminated that you looked at in each zone that I don't understand. Like when we met with DOT, a state DOT, and asked about potentially a crossing for bicycles only up by Spring Street, DOT told us yes. And then when I mentioned it once before, somebody from city DOT said, well, state told us no. But I was told by state DOT that that could be a possibility in the redesign efforts with 9A, because it was just going through the median. So how would that impact, would that change the determination of where we're putting the bike lanes on the south? Those are two of my issues that I have here. And this section is not about the left turns going on the eastbound, because that's the next section, right? And so can you, what other alternatives have you looked at for the bike lane to connect to West?
For the bike, what alternatives for the bike lane? Well, we looked at Canal Street, we looked at all the whole network, and essentially there's not a lot of options when it comes to connectivity due to like the presence of the tunnel or the presence of streets that don't go all the way through, or streets like Spring Street does go through, but there's a lot of tunnel infrastructure in the way. So it became really challenging to find a natural bicycle connection. This was determined to be the best one.
What street has an existing, connection across 9A? It is also, yeah, but that can be used by cyclists as it is.
Wait, when you say walker or what?
Lots.
And it's also wide enough to accommodate a two-way cycle lane safely while maintaining the vehicle needs.
It also doesn't have cobble.
Yeah.
And
A lot of these do.
it does remove parking. It does have cobble.
It has cobble on Greenwich Street, so Greenwich has cobble. But the rest of Watt Street is asphalt, which other candidates, that we looked at had cobble on, and we were like, absolutely not, we're not doing
Just let you know, time's up.
Do you wanna go first after that? No, you try that.
No, actually, you stick with the committee, because when we go off committee, we have to open it to
All
everybody.
right, I just at a high level, progress, not perfection. I applaud the work, even if it's in paint and small infrastructure for safety. So I'm happy to see these changes. I actually think that the traffic on Watt Street is not as severe, getting into the, so I think the bike lane there is a smart way to go. I had originally thought a two-way bike lane down the middle of the canal from east to west was a great solution, but I understand the limitations. I think the one thing that people don't realize is that there's the 3 lanes that go into the tunnel off of Hudson. There's one that supposed to go north. The island that's there on the right is sufficient. There's only 1 lane of traffic that makes that right-hand turn onto Canal Street. So I think it's sufficient to have just the 1 lane of traffic. It flows really well there. The one thing I would say is that at that island that is in the middle of the street, that median that you were just highlighting, that I think is a place where we could add greenery. And I would make that comment going all the way to the right-hand side of the slide. So that all of those median spaces where you have the hatch marks in yellow, cars will park there. In fact, the traffic cops will park there. They mostly nestle in between the planters at the tunnel, but they have started using that little spot as a parking spot. So I would encourage you to just fill it with a median that's green, and add some bulk to the pedestrians who might need to stop in that area.
90 seconds.
Great, thank you. We will move on to people who are not committee members, and I'll let Jared start because obviously there's a tie-in with Rebecca. But for those of you who are online, I see you and I have Madeline and then Chigo as the next 2 people after Jared. Thank you, Jared.
You know, ultimately, I don't think this section works particularly well. I think the Watts Street bike lane is problematic for a variety of reasons, because a lot of this ultimately ignores the realities of the ground. I had the great displeasure of walking along Canal Street on my way here, and the reality is that 6 o'clock on any given day of the week, it's completely impassable. It's a very unpleasant, dangerous pedestrian experience. The addition of a bike lane, I do not think enhances that for the pedestrians at all. I think it creates greater chaos at an already chaotic intersection. Watt Street, you know, they have blocked off in a temporary materials to prevent cars from sneaking into the tunnel. I don't think that this helps that. By removing the existing concrete median between Hudson and whatever that is, Renwick over there, and shifting it north to accommodate the bike lane, it removes the bulb out that's already on that corner, Hudson and Canal on the northwest side. That does not seem like an improvement to me. The yellow area already exists. There's just no discernible improvement to the pedestrian experience here, and it's already really, really treacherous. So that's a question. But
I'll give a brief answer, which is, as I mentioned, the project goals are trying to balance multiple modes. We know that this intersection of Hudson Canal is, yes, often gridlocked with traffic, with extremely high volumes of vehicles trying to get into the tunnel. And there are many pedestrians trying to cross there. However, we also know that the community has been asking for a long time for bike connections, and this is the place where we thought it was most suitable to make these from the east to the west side.
That's what that community is, and part of it is that, you know, the presentation offered at the beginning, a yes or no in support of the proposal or not. And I think people are, yes, in support of a proposal, but I'm not sure that it's this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Canal Street is very dangerous. I drive every day. I actually know exactly where we
Excuse
All
me.
right, let's, yeah.
Thank you. Everyone's done with that. We'll go and remind the people who speak online. It is only to this segment of Canal Street. So if you vary from this segment, we'll ask you to please wait and we'll call on you at a later point. Anyway, Madeline, you'd like to be unmuted and speak? Her hand's gone down.
She put her hand down.
Okay. T?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks, guys, for hearing me, and thanks for putting this together and the work you're doing. I do support the work on Canal to make it safer and more walkable, but I'm concerned what's being presented feels disconnected from what we're living with weekday to weekend in Tribeca. Before we permanently change our street design, I want to understand how the traffic routing, particularly the Holland Tunnel traffic, is being addressed. Right now, our residential streets are functioning like tunnel on-ramps. What work is being done to assess the fallout? You mentioned a right-hand turn just now, one lane going in. That means we're going to have slower drive-throughs along Hudson. I'm on Leonard Street. Leonard Street is complete standstill. I've had to rescue many ambulances to get through and police on a Thursday, Friday. It does not move for 2 hours, 3 hours. We have a severe traffic problem, and I want to know how you guys are working together while you're taking traffic, away and making traffic probably worse on Canal Street. About bike lanes, I'm not sure who's asking for bike lanes. I think we are asking for traffic police, and how this is going to be addressed in this redesign.
Thank you.
It's really, really, really severe in Tribeca. It's worse and worse.
Did you want to make any comment related to that? There was no question.
Thank you. Yeah, right. There's no question.
And also, can I point out that I was noted to me that we lost traffic enforcement help in Tribeca. It used to be on Hudson and a couple of areas on Thursdays and Fridays. We have nobody. It's fend for yourself, which is fighting and screaming and people like getting very aggressive.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else for this segment only, or can we move on to the next one? So we can move on. Thank you. Let's go from Hudson to West Broadway.
Answer the questions when you come back about.
Any committee members have a question about this segment? Start there. The questions and open in general. Are there people who have comments or questions? Oh, sorry, Carrie.
Okay, so, alongside, Capsuto Park, what's the reason for not pushing the side of the bike path sort of makes that jog there to the right? What's the rationale for not just making that straight and pushing that sidewalk out? Because then you would shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians, because that's a very long crossing, spot.
On Barrack?
Between Derrick and Sixth Avenue.
Yes, so for pedestrians crossing at each corner of Capsuto Frere Park, okay? If instead of pushing that bike lane into that space, if you push the sidewalk out and keep the bike lane straight before it makes the jog, you get more sidewalk space and a shorter crossing distance for the pedestrians. So I'd like to see that.
I will say we are exploring a concrete island that would be just here as well. So there would be a refuge point.
Yeah, I don't want to take up my 60 minutes with your 60 seconds left. So the other thing is, I think the island there is too dangerous. Pedestrians on that small island. I mean, I used to cross it Houston Street before we had proper medians and bollards there. I just think it's not substantive enough to protect pedestrians. So with that, I would do the same thing. I would push the sidewalk further out.
Sorry, what intersection?
The splitter island.
At the Splitter Island, I think is too dangerous. So I understand now that the Lake Street is meant to go at the same time. I think it's a mistake to do that. I would rather see Lake Street have its own timed light and give up the 20 seconds that allows and add the bump out the sidewalk there along the taco place between West Broadway and Sixth. So expand that sidewalk and reduce and get rid of that island. That crossing distance considerably. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Those are good comments.
Thank you. Anybody else from the committee? So I'm gonna move then away from the committee. Let's speak.
Yeah, I think the bike lane needs to continue on to Church and jog over to Walker. That it's a mistake for this entire plan to not include the planning of Walker Street, since Walker is essentially a Canal Street feeder.
Yeah.
And why do you think we need to have 2 lanes on Lake Street, make this onto Canal Street? That could be changed, and the splitter island could be moved south to accommodate only 1 lane moving. We could keep 3 lanes coming eastbound on Canal Street and maintain the left turn onto 6th Avenue. I believe we need as many left turns north as possible so that we do not jam up traffic through Tribeca, doing rights to get back uptown. And so that you take the bulb out that's at the left end of Capsuto Park, let 3 lanes move forward, chicane the traffic around the pedestrian island, the splitter island, which needs to move south a little, and maintain the bike lane all the way to Church Street. We need a right-hand turn on West Broadway, turning that into 1 lane, going north. All the cars waiting for the pedestrians to cross, you will back up now all the way down to Lispenard Street. That bulb should only be on the north side, not into the West Broadway, in my opinion.
Thank you, and perfectly timed. I can't complain about a thing.
Yeah, well, thank you. Any other hands up? Tammy?
I'll start my own timer on me. Okay, I am completely not thrilled with removing those left turns. Living on a street where a left turn was removed off the West Side Highway, we have incredible traffic for people who are taking the loop to be able to get where they're going. So if you remove the left northbound turns from eastbound Canal, meaning West Broadway and Green, right? All you're doing is pushing more traffic actually to go into Tribeca to find a northbound street. And that's actually not helpful. I don't understand if the turn at Green has anything to do with Church as to the future plans you have for Church. But I would say that diminishing the ways that you can spread the traffic to pile them all into 1 section seems far more dangerous for the intersection of bikes, people, and cars. It is significantly easier to retain the left turns going north. And that really concerns me because people, when they come off, when you come out of the Holland Tunnel, people don't always get to the right exit, and Waze will re-send you around. So it will do nothing but put people back into Tribeca streets, which are quieter than going up the main streets.
Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the intent of the left turn bans that we put in?
Sure. It's twofold. It's twofold. The first fold is that statistically, left turns are the most dangerous movements in any given intersection, just as a rule of thumb, or not just a rule of thumb. It's a study that's been found. And the second thing is, so eliminating the left turn creates safety, right? We think that it will make generally overall safer pedestrian and vehicular conditions. The second reason is we're very excited about the proposal at 6th Avenue with the reduction in signal timing, signal phasing for that intersection. And to achieve that, one thing we wanted to, one unforeseen consequence that we are foreseeing and trying to avoid is that traffic heading east on Canal Street through 6th Avenue, from west of 6th Avenue to east of 6th Avenue, that don't want to turn left, that we would create a weaving condition. So the turn ban is to prevent the weaving condition. And we know from congestion and from safety reasons, weaving is not a good thing.
No, but it will make people do illegal U-turns, which is what we have now. And there is, they're gonna do an illegal U so they could take the right. You're not solving necessarily, because again, we've spoken about this before, even with passive enforcement, there's no enforcement. So you're gonna have people taking a U-turn in the middle of the street, more so than they even do now, which I think is just as dangerous, if not worse. And you can't prevent that, right? Unless you're doing bollards all the way up the streets. And even then, I could have you come and sit by where Betty and I are, and there are U-turns right by on the West Side Highway where it says no U-turn. Dozens of cars at every intersection do it. So it's defeating.
One other, so on the section between Varick and Hudson there, the common issue is that, there are really sort of two common issues there. The cars heading from east to west who are making that right turn into the tunnel, there might as well not be a stoplight there. They constantly blow that light. You know, it's a constant stream. At the same time, the leftmost westbound lane is constantly blocked with cars trying to jockey their way in there. So there is no, you constantly see police cars and ambulances driving the wrong way down the eastbound side between Varick and Hudson because it's just the westbound is completely blocked there. This plan doesn't really solve for that. I was wondering if there was any way to consider that. Could you ever move that crosswalk eastbound a bit, the crosswalk on the, I don't know how to describe this.
You're talking mid-block?
Well, I don't know, I'm not a traffic engineer, I don't know where it should go, I'm talking about
This one?
that one exactly.
There's an island on the left.
That little triangle.
And just, like you do almost in Midtown, where you have pedestrian fencing up by Radio City, where it's not a crossing area or something.
Yeah, I mean, we can look into that. We have not looked into that, so we can certainly take this comment and explore it. I make no promises because I haven't done the work.
Sure. Great.
The Midtown condition is something we are trying to undo.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a great solution, I'm just saying.
I wouldn't use it as a goal.
Sure.
But it's a very interesting concept to sort of move the pedestrians out of the core intersection.
It without having done the work, it feels potentially possible.
It's interesting.
Great. Any other comments about this section or if we move on?
Betty, do you remember what the Port Authority has planned for the pop-up gates?
I sure
Right
do.
there. So my question is, aren't the pop-up gates at the bike lane?
Talking about the aqua fence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've obtained the Port Authority's plans for the aqua fence, and it is entirely on the sidewalk. So when it's deployed, one should be a really nasty weather and there should be fewer pedestrians out there. But, when it's deployed, the pedestrians will end up walking in the bike lane. So the bike lane serves as a de facto sidewalk rather than parked cars or moving lanes. So it's actually an improvement.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, it was clear, but when Port Authority started with their presentation, they said it could take up to 10 days of setup and up to 10 days of deployment, after the deployment. So that's the big, they shortened it a bit when they found out that was like a week and a half, 2 weeks, you're gonna have these things up. Started to walk it back a little, so maybe an ongoing conversation to figure out what to do with the pedestrians versus the bikes and everything else.
Can I say just a quick clarification? Current traffic from Lake Street, are they allowed to make the northbound turn there currently?
No.
No. Is there a reason not to allow that? Like, I understand you want a timing issue and keep everything moving quickly, but it is like a northbound, it's a significant northbound artery for people coming out of the tunnel. They wouldn't necessarily need to go up West Broadway or over to Green.
They could take a different tunnel exit and
Nobody out
then go up West Broadway to get northbound.
Yeah.
No, there, quite a few people miss that first one to go off of Beach Street, and then they
Mhm.
end up on Lake, and they're trying to go north. And so,
And they can.
you've clarified, thank you.
Part of our proposal is not visibly shown, but we are hoping to work with the Port Authority to revise some of the signs at the Rotary to make them a little clearer. And obviously, because some of the elements that we're proposing would make them incorrect if we were to move forward. So we will definitely be working on those signs and improve signage as well.
Which ones?
Well, let's finish what our design is before we. Like right now, as proposed, exit 3 is for Manhattan Bridge or Brooklyn or whatever it says exactly. And that would need to be changed to exit 5. So.
Okay, then let's move on to the next segment. West Broadway to Broadway. Again, any committee members have a comment to make about this segment? Yeah, Carrie?
I mean, I can just hand my notes to the team later, but, you know,
Well, I would send them at a later. point,
I'm
too.
just gonna hand it to Amy at the end. I don't need to keep them. The first one is, I'm not sure why the Worcester Street, was chosen as the, sort of the enhanced crossing area. So I'm curious about that.
Can I speak to that?
Sure. I reserve my time.
Yes, we're cutting off for time, so I can speak. The current conditions at Worcester Street is there's a crosswalk on the west side of that intersection, and there's not a crosswalk on the east side. And when we identify those locations that look like that, one of the things we know is that statistically, an intersection is more respected and therefore safer numbers when it looks like a standard intersection. So having the second crosswalk is important to us. And the reason it looks like it does is because of the technical feasible needs on that south curb. There are vaults and there are things, I don't even know what they are. And I couldn't get a ped ramp where it should be. So we came up with this so that way it still meets all of our needs.
I would, like to see, that sidewalk extended except for a lay-by at the Sheraton, which needs to have a drop-off area. But I think that sidewalk there is very narrow through that whole length of canal. So I would advocate for additional pedestrian space along that entire slide on the south part of the block. I would suggest that the post office, that we don't need the Church Street, west bump out. What we need is the US Postal Service to use the parking spaces along the sidewalk there and create micro hubs for the deliveries that are going to be needed between on Church, since we're not allowing the left turns, and, you know, we can do micro hubs on Church Street, and we can do a micro hub on, between Mercer and Broadway on Canal. So that, where you have that pink line going down, I would leave that and put that as a micro hub to serve the, Canal Street, and north of Canal Street. And then, the Green Street crosswalk is really treacherous. I take it, 3 days a week. I would do what you did at Worcester Street if it's possible. I would add, so make it go directly north-south, and you'd end up with like a triangle there. And make that an amble scramble there so that you can just be anywhere in that box. And that will prevent the trucks and people from staying in the middle of that crosswalk. So that's it. And it would reverse, it would shorten the distance between that. That.
Sorry, there you go.
And thank you for considering ped ramps when you put in crosswalk.
Absolutely.
Say that. There are many, many places in Tribeca that don't have either,
That's very
or have one without the other. There are a lot of crossings you have to create yourself. Let's put it that way. Yes, go first and you can go second. He's been waiting for.
Don't forget to say your name if you haven't spoken yet.
Bill Bialowski, architect and planner. I think we should consider the bike lane all the way to Church Street and use Church, which is extremely wide, to navigate a two-way transfer of the bicycles to Walker Street at this point, and then Walker from here on out. This is the part of the plan where Walker needs to be included in the study, since you're thinking about plugging the far end of it. all that traffic will have effect here. I think we desperately need to maintain the left turn onto Green Street. As somebody whose office is on Green Street, I'd like to be able to get to my office without having to drive all the way around the block. I think that the crosswalk device that you have at Worcester Street is great. You should move that down to Mercer Street as well. And we need to restore 3 lanes making into Broadway and Canal so that the right turn traffic does not jam up all of the traffic going while they wait for pedestrians to cross. With only 2 lanes, this isn't gonna work. You're gonna have anybody's trying to go downtown, back up all the traffic, and we'll have 1 lane traffic at that point.
Thank you.
2 things. I'm on the corner of Canal and Green.
Your name, please.
I'm Matthew Lansman. I own Canal Rubber Supply. That stoplight, the stoplight on Church and Canal is on the wrong side of the intersection. So cars drive up the light and they get stopped halfway into the intersection. And then they decide what they want to do. Usually it's nothing. They just sit there and. Can I read my notes? Is that okay?
Please.
Okay.
Within your time limit.
All right, this was actually written by my father. So on October 23rd, 2024, my mother and my father were assaulted on Canal Street by illegal criminal street vendors running away from NYPD enforcement action. My mom sustained multiple broken bones, stitches, punctured lung, and head trauma with many days spent in Bellevue. Medical repercussions still exist as this is solved. The issue with illegal criminal vendors occupying portions of Canal Street remains to this day. The plan to widen the sidewalks will only give this group a larger footprint to.
Are you talking about this segment?
Yes, yes. Keep going.
It really appears that the government has foregone this activity as well as the safety of the population in this area. There appears to be nothing proposed to stop this illegal criminal activity. Plans to improve traffic flow must be tempered with the clear recognition that this plan is now jeopardizing real people. As a business owner, we need commercial truck access to resupply materials. Taking away traffic lanes and having bicycle lanes will severely jeopardize the store's ability to exist.
Is that it?
Yes, that's really.
Can I submit photos to back up what
Could
he's
you-
saying
you
to the
wait a
board? Just leave me
Sorry,
here.
You get to see this segment.
It is about what's
Yes.
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 Did you want to leave your comments as well for them with the photos?
I don't have the photos.
No, I said with the comments. Did you want to leave the comments with them to go? Then we will
I
send them on.
apologize for not printing enough. We could pass them around to the board members.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to keep it set to go. Would you too?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Jared, and then we'll go.
I guess my question is, during the highest volume hours, is there any thought given to making it, or stopping, no standing, anytime and actually some enforcement around that? Because when I was walking over to the event that they had at the middle school on the east side last week, at rush hour, the rightmost lane heading eastbound now in this section, which with cars that were parked there that were otherwise could have accommodated more traffic flow at a time when it was needed. Would there be any consideration of really sort of a strict enforcement of standing during the rush hour, basically, rush hours?
That exists today, as I think you just acknowledged, and it doesn't work, right? It constantly fails, and there's no realistic level of enforcement that's going to keep it working. That's what happens. That's what we found. We try the rush hour regs. Those are called rush hour regs. We try those rush hour regs citywide, boroughs, various boroughs, various locations, and it fails inevitably.
Let me ask my place. The reason why that can't be a travel lane at all.
Holy crap.
Small businesses, sorry.
It would increase the crossing distances for people crossing canal. That is one reason.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
We've always been doing it.
the reason is because it does exist today. That's what we're talking about.
Well, but it's not a, you can park there.
Oh, so further down, yeah.
I'm talking in this section.
During the peak rush hour, I'm sorry if I don't have all of the parking memorized, but I'm pretty sure that this is at least further down to the east, it's a curbside moving lane during rush hour, which is what you're describing.
But I guess what
Same
I'm
here.
actually asking is, what if it was just a moving lane out, basically? If that
So
doesn't,
during the middle of the day, we are currently allowed to park there. We would transition it to a moving lane. I think you would find the same thing happens. Currently, people parking it when it's supposed to be a moving lane. They would park it in the middle of the day when it's supposed to be a moving lane.
even if it's no stopping, no standing anytime?
Yeah. Much to our dismay.
Which is why I would just make it a sidewalk and push parking to other places.
Mm.
And just have 2 lanes of efficient travel all the time. Like, north side sidewalk.
I'm gonna push it other places as well as people.
Yeah, but
Thank you, and I want to invite anybody who has after they're done speaking, you have anything written that you would like to leave for the DOT? Put your name on it, and if you're up here, we'll pass it on so they can have a copy. Otherwise, if you want to send an email or whatever you want to do in the future, I invite you to
Fill out.
pass on your concerns.
And fill out the survey.
Okay.
Anything else for this section? I don't
Well,
mind
I was
being.
gonna Did you want to speak to this section? Please,
DOT is proposing,
your name,
Name,
please.
please.
Howard Hewitt. Anton Cool. DOT is proposing to widen the Canal Street sidewalks by removing the commercial parking spaces from Broadway to Elizabeth Street on the DOT plan.
Can we take that when we get to the next section?
What's the next Broadway to
It's
Elizabeth?
only West Broadway to Broadway.
Broadway to Elizabeth is not taken.
No, not yet.
No, here's the next one.
Next section, it'll be soon.
did we get on record the removal of the bump out along Broadway?
Yeah.
It's the next slide, I think.
No, it's all the
No?
way on the right-hand side, that the bump out, along Broadway, that's expanding that sidewalk there.
The bump out on the south side of Broadway.
Preferred.
Correct.
Southwest or southeast?
Or the south,
Make a right turn now.
so that southwest bump out should go.
Tammy, did you have something?
I did, thank you. I'll put myself at a minute 20. One of the questions that I had, because we know that the enforcement is an issue of everything right now, right? And the concern is real and valid and actually documented, that if we build wider sidewalks in all areas, you can't cross the streets. And while Jared suggests, because the vendors are there
Yeah.
and they're all the way to the corners, and we're not, I mean, this picture probably illustrates it best. It's not an unusual one. That's pretty much what it looks like when you come out of that subway, because I come out of that often. The corners are really chock-a-block and it's very difficult. It's also a corner unit line between 2 separate NYPD groups, right? The 1st precinct and the 5th precinct divided Broadway. So it becomes a whack-a-mole situation with the vendors. If the 1st precinct goes out and enforces, then they go to the next side of the street. 5th precinct comes out, they go to the next side. Instead of looking at bump outs at the corners, right, and other things, what kind of conditions can we take a look at that make the crossings better, that aren't utilized, that have some kind of a unfriendly surface for vendors, maybe? You know, those are questions that I'm looking at. You know, a crosswalk in the middle of the street, does that make it better? Does that make it worse? What other considerations have been considered for this area? Because just adding more retail space
Yeah, that's what
for
they're
street
doing.
vendors
Yeah.
is not helping.
That's what they're doing.
And I know you're not enforcement. I get it, but cameras aren't doing it either. So what other kinds of things, you know, are in your toolkit? I mean, can you radically change the way the street works? I don't know.
Raise the crosswalk to flush level, almost with the curb, turn it into a speed bump, like we do in commercial centers, commercial lifestyle centers. Really slow the traffic down.
Can that be done?
Surface.
I think on a corridor, you can't build because it's a truck. Yeah.
It's a lot of things.
So please say why that can't be, because it's.
Yeah.
Essentially, so you're describing a raised crosswalk. You're right, raised crosswalks are very effective and we really love them. In a location like this, it is way too wide, it is way too long, there's too many factors. The truck routes, we don't want the trucks going over speed humps over and over and over again. They'll end up actually compacting them because of the heavy weights, and asphalt is pretty, you've seen the waving in our asphalt. And then on top of that, drainage, we have to make sure, like we were talking about, this is not a capital project. If we were to decide we wanted to put in some raised crosswalks, we would have to find that the catch basin is in the magically right place for every one of them, or any one of them. Everyone needs magical, perfectly placed catch basins. Otherwise, it's not what we're doing.
That's
That was
depressing.
an opportunity to speak for those of us who use wheel devices, whether it's delivery carts, whether it's wheelchairs, whether it's walkers, I don't care what it is, strollers. To maneuver around in a lot of these corners, they're crowded enough, and I know why you're concerned about the vendors. But you're saying give everybody nothing because we're worried about the vendors.
Design around it.
But these, at the corners, is at least some opportunity to mix. When you come off the sidewalk, I can mix and get around people to turn in the direction that I need to. Otherwise, being so short compared to people standing, I look at belt buckles. That's what I see. I don't see faces. I see belt buckles. We need some of this space for some of these bump outs. So I think people who are able-bodied and are standing tall, not children, are overlooking a lot of concerns that us shorter people have.
You can't get down that sidewalk with the vendors there, I'm telling you.
I can't, it's very challenging, but I can get down it. But nevertheless, the question is, if you're saying make it narrow, keep it the way it is, that's not good either. Well, we can't keep saying enforcement, otherwise let's only have bad things for pedestrians. It's like, that's not.
No, but the question is, like they did at Worcester, how can you reinvent it? Can you move the crosswalks? Can there be better pathways? Can we disrupt the sidewalks somehow in the planning to make it, to create pathways that discourage vendors? Because if you have, that's kind of, it's about disruption, right? They're a long line because that's all we have, because we have crosswalks at the end. Is there a way to put a crosswalk in the middle to divide the pedestrians? So there's another place. I don't care if it slows the cars down. Sorry, Eric. But maybe instead of just at the corners, because you're talking about the long blocks, that's where I was going.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. I don't want people to minimize these bump outs because they have a lot of value to people like me. We're trying to turn around. Can't turn as quickly as an able-bodied bipedal person, whether it's a stroller or a delivery cart. People are very concerned about the delivery carts because these products have to get somewhere. So don't forget those. Thank you. Carrie, then Cody.
Cody was.
Cody, then Carrie.
I just had an observation. To me, it would be really a shame to, because of illegal vendors, it's an enforcement issue to miss out on something so transformative as wider sidewalks, because if it's an enforcement issue, it seems like that shouldn't block, we're not held hostage to the fact that, some widening sidewalks.
Well, we need water sidewalks if they weren't covered with.
Exactly. I think you're treading on very dangerous.
I'll
territory.
just say that Canal Street is designated as a global corridor in the pedestrian mobility plan, and it doesn't currently meet the with or without vendors. It doesn't currently meet our desired standards for the width of a sidewalk for a corridor that has so many users as Canal Street, with or without vendors. I understand that having the vendors further narrows it, but even without the vendors, it wouldn't meet the
We should hear from the business person on Canal
Sure.
Street.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Carrie, since you were.
So, is there a way to, add, not sidewalk, but, just as you have at the end of the bike city bike docks, et cetera, you have those painted pedestrian landing zones. Is it part of the toolbox to bring the traffic halt line further back and have a landing zone? Ideal, I guess, but
Stop
is
here
there a
and
way
there.
to? Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a way to have those landing zones fish out without being in the sidewalk. But anyway, I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
Wait, did you have anything to say about this?
I'm not sure
Do
how.
you understand what she's asking?
No, I
I'm not
don't.
quite sure what I'm. no.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Never mind. I'm it's wrong.
So,
Excuse
Betty,
me.
don't forget me, okay, please?
No, I won't, but
All right.
excuse me if you don't mind if I run the meeting, otherwise please step out.
Oh, Betty.
No.
Sorry.
Mhm.
But no, he's been waiting, then Eric, you can go right after this gentleman.
Jeffrey Kwan, I'm Marty's, Matt's neighbor. We've been on the block since 1977. I live and work right on this block and on West Broadway on Canal Street. So, the whole bump outs, I know I like bump outs too because my kids are all grown now, but I never got a chance to like safely, push the strollers across the street. But, the lawlessness and the criminality that's all created by the extra bump outs is what's most concerning to me. And then, the impact on the businesses with all the closing of the other streets, it's gonna cause trucks to stop in front of our streets to load and unload in order to get their goods to the other streets. But you can't close like 6 streets of parking. It's just like, at least give it to the residents and the business owners. Give them the ability to survive in this economy. So also with congestion pricing, also with everything that we're battling in order to stay in business. He's been in business since 54. We've been in business since 77. We try to reinvent our business. And reinventing our business, we're doing more events. We're doing more like, basically more deliveries, more like in and out of our parking areas in order to survive, because nobody's really buying speakers, like stuff from our place, unless they can come load speakers into their trucks or their vehicles in order to like buy something from us for our livelihood. Same thing with rubber. The stuff is large, you know, so we just need to have a better, we shouldn't close all those streets and create more lawless activity. Also, my parents were robbed at gunpoint because of this lawless activity, because, you know, they were the ones that the gunman came to the store, broke into the store and had my dad done in the face. And because of this criminality element that is on Canal Street, and nobody wants to enforce it. Everybody wants to gloss over it. Nobody wants to like actually solve that. Have you spoken to what's your collaboration with the police precincts with all that? Any?
We've spoken with them, and I think we can continue to speak with them. It would also be useful, you know, if the boards were to articulate their enforcement concerns. I think, you know, the vending is a real issue, and it's something that, you know, we want to work with everyone on. I think Betty said that the solution is to not do nothing to enhance the pedestrian experience. I think it's something that we have to continue to work through.
What? No.
He didn't say.
We can't walk to the bank to make a deposit. You know, we can't.
So you like the widening of sidewalks?
No, we like to get the sidewalks clear of the vendors. Also,
And then do what enough?
also the souvenir shops have all their stuff all over the street.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only ones that keep a clean sidewalk. You know, we
Okay.
allow people to pass freely and we clean our sidewalk. Who's gonna also maintain all that extra bump out?
Eric.
That's actually a question.
That's a
Is
very
that the
good question.
responsibility of the commercial
You're gonna
owners?
make Matt do it? You're gonna make me do it?
No, it wouldn't be the responsibility of the property owners. It would either be a partnership or we'd do it through a
That corner
contract.
of Church and Canal is a barbecue area right now. They're playing loud music and they're barbecuing right now. You gotta give them more space.
Eric. Yeah, on Canal Street going east from Green Street, I believe, all the way to the street furthest on the right. So we're going from 3 lanes to 2, and then if somebody wants to make a right onto, is that Broadway? Broadway. Part of somebody said this, but you're going from 3 to 2 lanes, and then when vehicles want to make a right turn, they're all gonna queue up on the right lane. So now Canal Street in this section will also go from 2 lanes to 1. So have you contacted the hospitals, the fire department, police department on how this will affect arrival times? Have
The
they?
meeting scheduled with the hospital, spoken to one of the precincts, we're still pinning down the other one, but
Which precinct have you met with?
we met with one.
We met with one and the MTA precinct, which, the one that's downstairs in the subway.
Transit.
We met with, yeah, thank you. That's the word. We met with 2 of them and the third one, we're working on.
Can you,
That's
can
what we're
you,
talking.
can you respond about the narrowing to 1 traffic lane on Broadway and 1 eastbound lane, unless I misunderstand where that curb bump out is and that pink thing? At Broadway, it looks like there's is that 1 and a turn lane or just?
The proposal is showing no changes to Broadway. With the exception of the bump outs in the parking lane, but no changes to the moving lanes.
Sorry, that's not for you.
Because the bump out's gonna be in the parking lot.
Yes. And the eastbound travel lanes are, Eric has correctly translated what it is. It's 2 eastbound lanes. We are not designating a right turn lane. That is something we can consider. We are interested in the bump out that the pink.
You can
dot
take
is-
it right there.
You can take it right there, yes. We're not designating a right only lane. We are very interested in the bump out due to the pedestrian crowding at that corner with the subway stair.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for the bump out, and as such, you can't have that right turn bay, a third lane. So it's one or the other. And that's what that's how we got to this.
Worse than the south side. You have it on the north side of the street that bump out.
Yeah, we could look at also, we could look at something on the north side. We had it.
The other side.
We could look at that.
Yeah, no, you haven't spoken.
Motion to limit debate to 5 minutes on this particular topic, because I'm guessing the majority of the people that are here will want to get to the next couple of slides.
Do I have a second?
How
Any
long?
nays?
I said 5 minutes.
Okay, that's 3 more speakers.
Any noes? Any refusals? Any abstentions? 5 minutes it is. Yeah, Terry.
I just have a quick question based on what the gentleman over there said about the souvenir shops, the legal souvenir shops that have taken over a lot of the sidewalk space with display racks at the curb. Isn't that a DOT issue? Like, which agency is responsible for policing that?
I believe consumer affairs.
DCWP.
Got it.
DCWP and NYPD.
That's DCWC.
Department,
Yeah, no,
Consumer.
please speak.
Can I just get a little more clarity then?
Introduce yourself and.
Oh, hi, Triple Edwards, I'm a resident. Can I get a little more clarity on what your conversations with the police are or any kind of interagency coordination that's going on? Because each agency seems to blame the other agency and nothing ever gets done. Or you say, I'm not enforcement, so I can't do anything about it. And the police also are responsible for placard parking all along that, which cuts off lanes as well. And they park in the median as well. So they're part of the problem, and I don't see any of that addressed, and I don't know if it's addressed in any of your studies, but that's really general, just to say, yeah, we talked to them. How is those conversations going?
I think they enforce as they have capacity, and they've indicated that, the 1st and the 5th jointly work on this effort. They have proactive deployment as well as in response to complaints they receive. I think like many enforcement issues, there's probably less capacity than they would like.
Yeah, but you guys are designing around them. That's the problem. Like you're designing around them because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So you're doing a workaround, which ends up inconveniencing the entire community because of these workarounds. I think something more needs to be done or some commitments to be made, or this has to be brought to a higher level. I don't know how to solve your problems, but that seems like a problem. The fact that we just talked to them doesn't really tell me much.
Yeah, and we can't make commitments on behalf of PD, but again, I think the board, the elected officials, if they want to, make appeals to NYPD, I think that would certainly be helpful to reiterate the.
We have, I mean, just, there has been an extraordinary amount of dialogue with NYPD. It is beyond what the 1st or the 5th can happen, and it is a whack-a-mole situation. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, the situation with the raids and everything else that happens, it just moves it from one place to another. So Church Street, it becomes the secondary loadout when they run from Broadway. So they're running, literally vendors running west. And then they set up there. They're anywhere where the subway exits are. So I guess my question, based on what everyone's saying, is what can you design near the subways that's going to be different, that would potentially help pedestrians and not actually encourage or allow, from an engineering and design point, this kind of a thing? What Bill was talking about with the raised crosswalks is only because at a mall you can't stand, like, it's big and long and wide. And whether or not, I mean, you're losing more parking on each side of the street. I get all the rest of it, but something in the toolkit that's designed engineering wise.
We have no toolkit that addresses illegal vending. That's just not something that is, we're open to ideas, like, let us know what you got, but we can talk about it, but that is not something that the DOT has.
The primary thing in our toolkit to increase pedestrian space is to increase pedestrian space through paint. We're definitely open to any feedback. We also don't want any kind of elements that ultimately inhibit pedestrians, like any kind of elements that might be hostile to vendors could also be hostile to pedestrians. So I think we'd want to ensure that any new space is used by pedestrians. But I think, this is kind of the primary way that we do expand pedestrian spaces.
Yeah, but you're still not answering it. You're the DOT, you're the freaking DOT. And you say, I can't make a commitment. And I'm asking you to make a commitment. Again, I don't know how the politics work, but you work for the mayor's office, right? And you can take Udonis, for example, and say, let's talk to the mayor, let's figure this out. There has to be a conversation between the mayor's office and the NYPD.
I think what Triple's saying is actually a valid point, is that the conversation from the head of DOT needs to be had with the mayor, because the pushback that you're hearing, beyond people wanting to improve the pedestrian experience and people wanting to improve safety overall on Canal, is it doesn't work for safety if we don't address the whole thing. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And we want you to be successful. We want better space. But if all it leads to is more of this, that's not great. I kind of look at it in the old way, where they used to have, at traffic lights, sometimes at railroad crossings, the gate used to come down, which, used to definitely prevent people from crossing the street, right? And then that's not a very popular thing anymore. They don't do things like that. I mean, can you talk to the bid that's on the north side, and maybe they could have a kiosk? Maybe the build out includes some kind of a kiosk, so there are more eyes and they have a station there. I mean, thinking, you're talking to transit, maybe transit needs an above ground info station. Like, those are the kinds of things that could provide a better sense of security for people on the streets, that there's a place for somebody to go to, but that involves an interagency discussion that's put in the engineering. Right, so you have a MTA stop, street level. Elevators.
That's an interesting idea. We can, see if PD is interested in that. We have had conversations with City Hall, I think. Ultimately, understand there are capacity issues and they have their own schedule on which they deploy enforcement, but we hear the concern, absolutely.
I think to summarize it, can you come back, or when you come back, can you come back and actually have a section on what you're doing to support security as part of this?
We can invite, maybe if you guys invite PD as well, we could.
Sure, or even, I mean, I think that's about to coordinate, but I'm just thinking like, it's more, sorry, can I finish? It's more so about just like having something that lets us know what your conversation with the police department is and what you're thinking about. It's not gonna be a perfect solution, it's not gonna satisfy everybody, it might not even fully resolve it, but it's just to let people know. This is community board, this is what we're here to do. With that being said, I think we're at 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Next section.
Yes, I feel we want to next section. What comes up?
And we've asked all the players to be at the table,
Okay.
multiple times, so to bring them along would benefit everybody.
So let's, questions about, comments about Broadway to Baxter? Any committee members? Neither do you, but so.
Well, but we also need DOT to explain the parking, because the first thing that we heard from all of the businesses before we asked questions,
Yeah.
every single business person who's been in here has said that they didn't want to lose commercial parking. And what I don't understand from looking at this is, does this mean that all of the parking is gone in between Broadway and Elizabeth?
And could you also go on with what is the turnover rate at this point? And realistically, is there any curb access anyway
In the proposed or in the existing?
in the existing?
In the existing, the curbs, somebody help me out here if I get it wrong, but every few hours, the curb regulations change. So you've got eastbound, you've got a morning rush hour, maybe an evening rush hour, you've got loading in the middle of the day. After something from 7 to.
But can they get near the curb? Can
This
park
is
in an unparked space, I have two different things. As we were just talking about the placards and everything else.
Yes.
I never see vehicles moving at all, but,
We should hear from the business people who use it.
well, let's hear what they've done counts.
It varies block by block. Between Mulberry, I'm gonna flip through even though I know where, on this.
Yeah, you just turn the page.
Yeah, between Mott and Elizabeth, on the south side. Sam and I were there this morning and the rush hour lane was, had placard vehicles in it, but on other parts of the corridor, the rush hour lane had one vehicle in it that didn't have a placard, but all the other vehicles have to move around that. And then, as Dan was saying, the curb regulations change. So in the middle of the day, currently you're allowed loading.
Allowed, and is it possible?
Your
And
point is it blocked by the placards, even if it's, when it's supposed to be for anybody, but is it blocked for the local?
I would say, broadly speaking, there's regular turnover along Canal Street of vehicles on the blocks in which it's not being utilized for.
Yeah, we're talking about here.
I put the time.
But Eric, did you finish?
Oh, I didn't even go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The first part is that it's really disconcerting about Walker Street. I mean, that's like a relief valve sometimes when there's an obstruction going west, on those streets. And indeed, Now Street, this is a parallel path to get onto Manhattan Bridge. And just to close it off like that, I think we're creating problems. And then actually, Tammy, you had mentioned this, reminded us, with the new borough-based jail, that's gonna create more bottlenecks. So this plan, we're creating bottlenecks, we're creating traffic, we're creating problems. Also, with the expansion of the sidewalks, I think you said you would put concrete barriers there, right? Or boulders, right?
Some kind of edge object. We haven't finalized it.
So if that's the case, if somebody is getting off from their Uber, when they stop, they're gonna block traffic. When a garbage truck comes by and they have to pick up or an ambulance where will they pull over? And these are legitimate concerns, and then especially about the businesses. So this is reducing transportation capacity. And then, as I mentioned earlier when we first started, what about the Brooklyn Bridge? We will always have traffic coming from the Brooklyn Bridge when that's obstructed. What's gonna happen here? You're reducing capacity.
Brooklyn is blocked, people come here or here in the bridge.
I'm very concerned about, the Walker Street closure that's being proposed. I know the intent is well made here. I really think we should be looking at Walker Street for the bicycle connection, east-west, to relieve some of the Grand Street connection, which no one here has talked about today, because that'll be a problem. I think you should consider taking that island that is at the end of Walker Street, marrying it to the sidewalk, putting a chicane in on the Walker Street traffic so that it still merges in. You have a small relief island on the corner, so that we can keep the traffic flowing, but just slide it over with the chicane. And I think we still need bump outs, on Canal Street, around the Lafayette Street subway stop on the northwest corner, but then return the, curb lane back to cars for the thing Eric's talking about.
Do. But I don't.
Okay.
You guys got all of what he said?
Yeah, I mean, and moving the island that island has I don't mean to speak for others, but I believe it is a beloved kiosk, and it has 7 plus or minus trees on it, and those are the only trees.
We'll support moving all of those.
They don't want to relocate trees that'll kill them.
We'll support all of that. This community will support it. We need the connection through on Walker Street rather than left to the right. It's gonna stack everybody up.
I will say there's currently a capital plan to rebuild that island. That's
Not to move it, just to rebuild it.
Well, that would be misspent money. We should attach it to the curb where we really need it.
Well, let me take you back to the Town Connections. It seems like people have long forgotten that one, about 5 years ago. And then a group bigger than this was very vocal about wanting, there's a large number of pedestrians on that island and on Walker Street at that particular block. That they wanted the cars not interfering with these pedestrians to make them safer, and why should they be fleeing cars? What can cars have to do? And then town was low.
Well, Walker Street at the other end. Don't let Walker go all the way down to the American Thread Building and stop Walker Street as a through street then. Because right now it is the relief valve for Canal Street. You actually have a tunnel exit that takes us to Walker Street to get to Manhattan Bridge. Yeah, that's why Walker Street needs to be part of this study. This plan doesn't mean anything without including Walker and Grand Street fully in it.
we have taken traffic counts that look at Walker and Grand, and we're incorporating that into the traffic model. So we are looking at it holistically from a traffic perspective.
Just a general comment about the bulb outs and the materials you're gonna use to deck the boulders or otherwise. Are there materials in your repertoire that are not, that can't be used as display tables for merchandise or?
Jersey barrier.
Something more attractive?
A muraled Jersey.
Mural. Some planters.
Also large planters.
But this have to be maintained.
Well, but it'd also be good for the world.
No, take a look at them over,
No, okay.
take a look by the Williamsburg Bridge. They're not
Well,
fantastic.
they're not maintained.
Depends on the maintenance partner of every individual planner varies in quality due to the maintainer.
As a business owner, there's a lot of blight on this street of, on all these streets of Canal because, people don't wanna deal with it. You guys, did bump outs for the other street. Is there a reason why you didn't do bump outs and maintain parking on these streets so that you can give relief to some of the future business owners and hopefully attract some business owners?
Yes, there is a reason. We spent a lot of time looking at the pedestrian volumes of the corridor of Canal Street. We spoke to the public a handful of years ago at this point. And we discussed over and over again that the pedestrian volumes east of Broadway were significantly higher than those west of Broadway. So we were looking to try to find ways that east of Broadway that we could relieve the pedestrian conditions you know, and that's how we came to this.
Hmm.
West of Broadway, the issues were much more vehicular oriented, so that's why you have a different sort of treatment west of Broadway.
Then why would you push more cars east?
So to introduce yourself, please, and then.
My name is Anna Goldstein. I'm a resident. Basically, when you close off Walker Street at Baxter, you're creating a dead-end street. And I think it will have an impact on the seniors who live at Tupac. The visitors who come won't have parking on that street anymore. Because what's going to happen is the placard or authorized parking is going to take over the street between, Walker and Center, on Walker between Center and Baxter. So I foresee that. I don't know how you're going to prevent it. It's going to be a dead end. So, basically cars won't be able to go through. People won't be able to get dropped off. I see the expansion of the sidewalks between Broadway and Elizabeth as being punitive to Chinatown and Chinatown's businesses. It is not anywhere else on Canal Street. And I believe that if you only do the painted curb extensions at the corners, you will help the businesses survive. You will help people, be able to go to the doctor who need to be dropped off. I'm older now. I don't bike.
I will just briefly say that cars traveling on Walker Street could turn right on Baxter Street. So that would be the outlet they could.
Baxter goes the other way.
Baxter,
Baxter's northbound.
Baxter's southbound.
So,
Baxter's southbound.
That's yourself.
but you can't,
It doesn't really go anywhere. You
it's,
end up
well, the BBJ is the example of what happens on Baxter. And currently on Baxter, it was, when the building was there, completely filled both on sidewalk where White Street was. The entire thing was NYPD parking or placard parking or judge parking or lawyer parking. And all of Baxter was as well. And the concern is a valid one that by removing any little bit of circulation around there, when the jail is built and it's going to be 30% bigger with thousands more people, and there is still not enough parking, and there is no requirement for them to park inside, is that most of the area around will be, as it was before, full of it, not for the commercial, not for the people who are going to be building and working and living, but for the people from that building. And it's a reality. It's not like we're not building a solution for that, and it exists right there.
There is no solution for there's not enough parking. Like, we cannot add more parking to accommodate.
I'm not saying add more parking. I'm saying make sure that the businesses aren't killed. If we're worrying about the pedestrians, I'm worried that the pedestrians have a place to go shop on this street. And that you can't say every business can get their deliveries on the side streets, or every business, as the gentleman said, he needs a delivery and entrance. Like, he's been there over 50 years. He's not hopefully leaving. You can't all of a sudden say, I'm sorry, you can't do pickup and deliveries anymore outside your business, because we think that we need to do a full street bump out here. And that's a problem if we're not balancing the needs of the business. I understand we need to protect pedestrians. This is a heavily corridor, but it also doesn't make sense to me that we're not prioritizing what we know is coming, period, end of statement, what we know, and finding a way to build in things. If this area had turnover, as you said, and there are commercial uses of it, okay, so in the morning, all the placards are there. Let's let Udonis talk to Tish about that, and I'd like to be the placard czar and remove every placard from every person in New York City that they're not allowed to have any anymore. Perfect. But with that, you still have to accommodate the businesses. There's no, Okay, well, you can get deliveries from noon to, there's nothing here. Not one business. And that's really concerning.
Want to make a comment? I'm surprised to hear that from somebody who lives with all the security zones that we do. We
I
have
detest
businesses
it.
and residences on Broad and Wall. We have a whole bunch around World Trade 3 and 4, and they get deliveries and they're way bigger densities.
They do not get deliveries and they cannot, you cannot pick up from any of those locations.
Like, the way you're talking about driving up to them, you can't do it, and yet are they thriving and thriving?
No. Have you seen the vacancy rates in retail?
Now there on Wall Street and Broad, where the specific barricade is up. At Exchange Street, there is no businesses surviving there.
And that's what the Downtown Alliance said, very specifically when we did the walkthrough the other day. Downtown Alliance said that they are struggling, that actually the south side of that street turned completely residential other than the stock exchange. And that when you looked at the retail scape, it was not thriving. And they were,
Residences are all getting their deliveries.
Yeah, because we're allowed to drive in there.
because the residences are allowed to drive in and out. In this case scenario, if somebody pulled up, there's no place for them to stop. In those areas, you can stop. And I can tell you, you cannot stop on Church Street next to World Trade Center to pick up or drop off.
Yeah.
Right, but this is,
We offer solutions about this slide, like, because otherwise.
we need loading zones.
We
We
need
need commercial.
Potential solutions. So, on the previous section, I had suggested micro hubs on Church Street as a way to get deliveries to the sound, to you guys and others. Here, why not have those micro hubs or delivery spots cut into the middle of those sidewalks? So it's not the whole treatment, but you have some sort of, lay-by in between the sidewalk treatment. You've got some easy with pedestrians and you've got some capacity for deliveries, commercial only, in the middle of those blocks.
For each block, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be one way to address that. I've come around to Bill's idea about the bike going through on Walker Street and the need for movement of vehicles through that space, because there's no other place to turn north as well. If you cut that off, you've got to go right on Baxter, which is another southbound exit. You've cut off Green Street, you've cut off West Broadway. Now, if you're coming across, you don't have a lot of options for going north. So I think keeping that Walker Street piece is important because it allows you to then get to Mulberry at least to get you going north.
Vehicles could turn left on Center and then right on Canal if they were trying to get.
It's gonna have a lot of
Everybody.
construction,
All those
but it's also gonna have a lot of, the Center Street is also gonna be under construction with vehicles and all of that with.
For over 10 years.
So that's gonna be, I think you're gonna need another release valve.
But I know there is.
They're taking a full lane of traffic out of Center for construction. They already told us.
That's good to know.
On that block?
Undetermined how
Yeah.
far it will go.
And-
Because they said that it's too difficult for them to be on Baxter because it's so tiny.
Yeah, I understand that they haven't determined it, but from my familiarity with DOT's permitting of such things, it's unlikely to be between Walker and. That's my total random take, but we'll see.
Yes. Please introduce your name and then speak.
Oh, I'm Jeannie Chen, and I'm a resident of Chinatown. I just want to add, Dr. Thomas Pratt is not here today, but one of the things he had said at the meeting was that there are about 100 positions on Canal Street. We didn't mention that at the last meeting because the time was very short, but that is just one business. There are all these banks, bakeries, major grocery stores, and so forth. And also regarding enforcement, we're not just talking about counterfeit vendors, but also some of the shopkeepers have built their stands out. The fish store on between Mulberry and Baxter is out like 4 or 5 feet from the store, and some of the other businesses as well. So I think that whole thing you were talking about, a comprehensive view, the enforcement of the shopkeepers as well as the illegal vendor. Thank you.
Thank you. Two more. Yes, introduce yourself.
Jan Lee, the Chinatown Core Block Association. First, I want to commend this committee for having the patience to look at this plan at such a granular level, and obviously there's tremendous energy that's being spent on this. However, I think it's misplaced. I think that until we see reflected there, because it's been kind of established that the city is failing us residents of Chinatown to such a degree that these actually are basically carved into the concrete as well, but they're not reflected there. So I think that there's a slight undertone of racism where you're creating millions and millions of dollars invested into infrastructure based on the fact that you're failing to work with other agencies, and we are the recipients, and the businesses are the recipients, and Mark and Rosalind Landsman are pushed to the ground, and Jeff's parents are gunpoint robbery. This is systemic of something that we have endured for 30 years. So to say, let's work around this, let's find ways to work around this with infrastructure is not only insulting to us, it's incredibly racist. We've been at this for 30 years. And to say now, we're creating infrastructure and painted lines to memorialize the fact that this is criminality, this is not vending. And I hope that we can all mature beyond the point of saying, these are vendors. This is a criminal syndicate, let's call it that. In fact, you should have in the key criminal syndicate and indicate where they are, because they are not moving until you, and congratulations for being the new Manhattan Commissioner, work with not only the precincts, because we've spoken to the precincts, and I want to be clear. Block associations interact with precincts all the time. The precincts have said they turn them around and it's not our fault as cops. And they've told you that too. I know that they have. And so you don't stop at that point. You say who's in charge beyond that. And it is the DA. He mentioned the DA. I've talked to the DA. Until your slides reflect the fact that you are willing to do the work interagency, which is the DA, Customs, SBS, and now there's a new one where you said that the kiosks on who are pushing things out, that's not even DOT, that's another agency. Where are the agency keys that have shown the work that you have done? I've asked you this at the CCEBA meeting. I've asked this on November the 24th, and we keep getting the same slideshow. Do you realize how insulting that is to a community that's been fighting a crime syndicate that we have lived under? It is not fair that we have to live like this. And to create infrastructure memorializes criminality. Nowhere in the city is that done, except Chinatown.
Here's a crazy question. And all the curb bump outs that we're talking about, and can you put infrastructure in like bicycle racks like we have in Tribeca?
Yeah.
And other things, so to ensure that there's less.
Before that, Tammy, could we have a
space?
commitment that we would have something that we could
I'm looking for treatments.
put in? Well, I think that before we get to the next physical barrier, can't we as a community have something of a commitment of an interagency evidence that you're doing work other than just meeting with the precinct captains who are gonna turn you around just the way they turn us around? This is multi-agency. You mentioned another agency that this gentleman brought up that none of us knew in the room wasn't DOT.
DCW.
So how do we move forward at the next meeting to ensure that work has been done? Because I congratulate every person in this room who at a granular level has measured every square inch that's important to them, and I respect that, but it's wasted. Why are we memorializing criminality and painting lines around it? We cannot move like this as a community. 25 new businesses have opened in Chinatown since COVID was lifted. They deserve a chance. The store that's 1977, he deserves a chance. We're not painting lines around something to make believe that this is not, that makes believe this doesn't exist. And I object to that.
And I second what Jan's saying, and what happens is, we do talk to the NYPD. You know what they say about you? Oh, they don't get back to us. Oh, they do whatever they want. Oh, I have no power with them. They're just gonna do what they want.
If you
So,
time up and you have to recognize it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we need commitment.
I can't commit resources on behalf of NYPD, but we can certainly commit to continuing our efforts to get them and any other relevant agencies to the table. And we can certainly extend an invite to them to our next presentation. And Jen, it's great that you've been at every single meeting. We're still in the same phase of outreach, so we haven't made revisions. We're getting a lot of good feedback.
It's moving forward without changes, and that's what's alarming. Your clock keeps moving forward.
Is there ever a point? I'm still trying to, trying to do big and little and find the place in the middle. Is there ever a point in the toolkit that a curb bump out, like a shared street, right, has a shared commercial time? So during X period to X period, it's allowed for commercial parking to allow for the businesses to thrive. And then outside of those hours, it is zero parking and just extensions.
In order for these to function as pedestrian space, they would need edge objects. That could be a range of things. We haven't decided on it yet, but planters, Jersey barriers, granite blocks, those things cannot be moved daily, so.
And why didn't you look at potential for moving the curb parking off curb, right, to be a floating parking lane to allow for parking to continue, and that way giving more space for pedestrians that we see on some of the other
Because
regional.
we
corridors.
need two travel lanes,
Yeah.
eastbound, westbound, in the areas where we've shown them. As we mentioned, between
You- you
Merrick and
call
Sixth
it,
Ave, we only need one eastbound travel lane, but we don't have space for the two travel lanes, the parking and the curb space.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly explored all that and it was determined by our traffic engineer or just senior leadership that, no, you're gonna make sure that there's at least two lanes of moving traffic.
And why would we push, since this is the more pedestrian area, why are we closing the northbound turns on the west side to push more cars this way? Because that's.
Say it again, why are we closing the way?
Why are we closing the left turn lanes on eastbound traffic on the quieter pedestrian areas to put them in northbound traffic in the busier areas?
As I said before, it has to do with the weaving, that we're concerned with.
What does that mean?
The lane changing, basically, if you wanna oversimplify traffic, every time somebody changes lane, it slows traffic down a little bit. And if you multiply that out enough, that's why you have congestion or backup or bad conditions. So we wanna reduce that as much as possible.
Also, the model doesn't show that the vehicles that can't turn, say, left at West Broadway will come down to this side of Chinatown. They'll take different tunnel exits, they'll go up Church Street.
The theory behind it.
That's how it's measured. They're only measuring the cars that are going down.
No, let them answer. Let them answer, because you and I don't know what their information is. Let's let DOT do their talking. Apologies, what?
Not all the cars that can't turn left to get into Soho are gonna end up in this part of Chinatown. I'll just say that, that's not what.
No, they're gonna end up turning in Tribeca around the local streets to try and go north. Or going all the way down towards here. It's the same.
Taking a different tunnel exit and then going.
But not everybody, it's not about tunnel people necessarily. It's about people who are coming down the West Side Highway or who are coming up from Lower Manhattan or who have come through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. It's not only the Holland Tunnel, it's people coming in.
And truthfully, there's only one tunnel exit that would apply, and that'd be Hudson Street, which is important.
That's right. And most people try and avoid Hudson because to get to Hudson, you have to go past the first precinct onto the Cobble Street.
Oh, yeah, that's
Kind of,
right.
that's like the beach one, isn't it?
Exit 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never do too. I always take the,
And if you're going north, you should, I haven't been there as much as you have, but when I've been there, the northbound lane that is not tunnel bound seems to be pretty available. It's the tunnel bound lanes that are.
one more. So
Different-
for this one, it's about the commercial, finding ways to,
It's
The northbound
similar
lanes
to
are
the
impassable.
Lakeside is something.
this one, the biggest comments.
I believe you.
So you've heard from the public, the comments here are Walker, potentially a bike lane all the way through on Walker, so that becomes a shared street, not a closed street, right? So turns are allowed. Don't the plea by the business community, do not push all the business needs for commercial parking, loading and unloading onto the side streets. That doesn't work for the Canal Street businesses, nor the businesses on the side street to have to burden the extra thing. Of course, we'll all talk to NYPD about their placards and everything else, but,
I
Can you-
apologize, I have to get back to my babysitter, but I will hear comments back by my colleague.
or Dan. Can you go to, I think that was it, right?
That's the last, yeah.
Can you advance the slide one?
Thank you very, very much. This is the last slide.
And I encourage people by all means, when the new administration comes in January, by all means, continue with the advocacy as you did with the Adams administration. Remember, you have to do it again because it's so I do encourage that.
And please, I hope that these guys.
So yes, absent ballot. Anybody from the committee?
I have the same comment that I did on the others.
That's
I struggle with how bad this is for the businesses.
Right. If we can speed this up, comments that were not already addressed in the last slide that
Yeah.
apply to this slide, we will assume that all those comments apply here.
Christine, do you have something new to say?
Yeah, I have a question. Can we go back to, just go back 2 slides? I just want to see what
No,
the picture, I
no.
want the picture. Just, to-
No.
okay, see, okay, now go forward again. No, thank you for, whoever did it, thank you for doing it, because that was what I wanted to see. I wanted to make sure I was remembering correctly, which was down here on in Chinatown and farther east, it's all the sidewalk being built out and
Correct.
and that's part of what the complaint is, because it's giving more space. If you just do the curb edges, and you said there was a reason why, I forgot what you said, but you said there was a reason why you couldn't just do curb build outs down here.
Because we were trying to accommodate the heavy pedestrian volumes.
But the fear is without enforcement and without collaboration and somehow stopping all the congestion of pedestrians on the street, because they've got to go in and out of the people selling their bags and the vendors and this and that. You're not doing any of that.
That's not new.
No, but yeah, I guess, but it was making a comparison, because I guess I was struck by what Jan said about racism and how this is one thing and there is something else. And I get the concept, which was, okay, we're gonna make the sidewalks bigger here because we've got more people here. But the feedback that you're getting is it's not actually making the sidewalks bigger or usefully bigger.
It's damaging the way the businesses operate in Chinatown only.
Only,
Is
yeah.
what Jan is representing.
Yeah,
Did I get that right? And I've got a room of nodding people.
okay, so yeah, sorry, that's what I was just trying to elevate, and then.
This is a proposal, we're here to hear that feedback, that's exactly, and we will take it and come back to you.
Thank you.
Jared?
I've got one specific question about this slide and then one sort of broader question. So the slide maintains the painted median on the right side where the cops, they park.
Correct.
Which I think it sort of touches on some of the other topics that have come up here tonight. My broader question, to the point of advocacy and administration, looking beyond this project, which I know the project tonight is the topic, but for a long-term, for a capital project, what can these communities do to have, really long-term meaningful, take to do I mean, thinking big picture, thinking long-term, like, who do we have to, harass and harangue to have long-term meaningful change here for the entire stretch?
Well, the right answer is not the political answer. So I'm gonna let the political answer go first, and then I have the right answer.
I mean, are you specifically asking about a median or capital improvements in general?
I mean, as I said, I'm not a traffic engineer. To me, it seems like this is just as right as Houston Street with Delancey Street that they planted median down the center of it in a way that would cut cut the crossing time, add some much needed greenery. I'm sure there's heavy infrastructure underneath the street, but really have a lasting, and I don't know that the community wants it, but.
Dr. Chen recommended exactly what you're talking about.
Right, like what would it?
Instead of expanding the sidewalks on both sides, putting a median down the middle.
Even if what you're doing right now is good for right now, looking beyond this for the real long-term health of all these communities. I mean, it has the second worst, the entire, Canal Street area has the second worst small particulate air pollution in the entire city. So like, how do we think bigger?
So, I mean, you have to start with a couple of basic concepts, and that's to start with funding. That's always hard, but then they say, well, how much does it cost? And if you don't have a design, then they don't know how much to give you for the funding, right? So it's like a chicken or the egg, back and forth. Another thing to consider is the space allocated to said median. The traffic engineering, like let's say we didn't do any of these painted curb extensions and instead put all that space in the median. Are the traffic engineers gonna be okay with that? They're okay with this, so maybe it's possible. Then the next thing that I come up with is a planted median provides very little pedestrian impact. It provides a nice view for a car to drive down. I mean, it does provide some tree canopy potentially, depending on finding a tree that can actually survive in amidst the trucks and the thousands of cars on Chinatown, on Canal Street.
We planted cherry trees on Bowery in China.
How are they doing?
Fine, great.
We got plums and cherries.
The West Street has trees and it's got hella congestion.
It is.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, so it's a big concern. And so those are the big start. It's really like, what do you want? Do we have the political support of the community, like a unified voice that I rarely hear? That would really help, right? So that's how you get started.
I guess, let me just take a step back. What would it take to have a study of a concept of that nature, a longer term capital improvement for this? And I'm not saying instead of this, I'm saying as a successor to this.
I think we probably want to see how this design is functioning and what changes need to be made. For example, if this is not functioning in some manner, we might want to contemplate changes to this to get to a design that works. But I think Dan's right in terms of a capital project. I mean, we'd want to secure the funding. We'd want to get support for a design. I don't think this precludes any of that.
Any kind of capital project could revise anything we're proposing today.
But just like, to be frank, like a corridor-wide capital project like this, it just takes a long time. I think Delancey, we've been working on for a very long time. We're happy to have those conversations, but I think, we do want to do something in the short term to relieve some of the concerns that have been identified.
I agree, and I want to see more sidewalk space. I don't want to just give it all up for something else. It's a trade-off with the many things that different people want. This does have the value of being quick, and it does have the value of giving us input
I
on
agree, something
data
needs
on
to be done, and
AEP.
this is something, so there needs to be some progress, and this is potentially some progress. I'm just thinking beyond this.
Yeah, Carrie? Anything?
I'm gonna go granular because that's what I spent my day doing. So I got the lay-by thing again. It doesn't make sense to me that you're taking, 2 lanes that come off of the bridge and then adding a third in the space between Bowery and Elizabeth. I would encourage you to have that sidewalk continue on the north side. And I would, suggest that median, instead of being placard parking, be planted with something, so there's at least some greenery there. Or, I think if you add the laybys, then maybe we can help the businesses, but the placards just take that whole center lane, in my experience. And then,
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing I was gonna say is that Elizabeth Street is really narrow to be pushing deliveries onto Elizabeth Street.
Yeah.
So I think you need those laybys or some sort of, some other micro hub type situation on that north curve. And then this wonderful lady has been waiting for a very long.
Well, chance, but there's somebody else I just promised.
I
She could go before. them.
Just one point of information, just to make it clear that everything east of Baxter is CB3 and not CB1, just
Oh.
so we all understand that.
It's okay.
So I
Introduce yourself. My name is Susan. I'm actually a business owner and since 1997. So I actually know a lot of the routes all the way coming from West Side Highway and also at Bowery and in between. So I make all the different swerves I can get to get to my store on Bayard And it takes extremely long time and it's always congested. Something that's different, in terms of Chinatown versus Tribeca is that even Little Italy is tenement buildings and it's very narrow streets.
Yeah.
And the businesses that are in Chinatown is different from the rest of the city. Number one, there are a lot of senior citizens that actually need to come here for medical services. And the reason why is they don't speak the language. So you have Charles B. Wang, which is between Broadway and Center. Those people will have to have their rides and they will have to get off there. Also, you also have a CP, which is on Bowery and Canal. That's also another big hub. Also at 139 Center, a lot of elderly would actually get off on Canal because they don't want to make a whole big loop back to south and to come back up to 139 Center. Also, for a lot of the businesses, you're talking about butchers. I mean, do you really want to see, the people delivering, carrying pigs or whatever they down 2-3 blocks? I mean, that's not practical. How about the restaurants? Every time they make a delivery, you're talking about, butcher type of stuff that they have to go down so many blocks. You're also talking about no parking. So once they go into Baxter is gonna be a jail. They're gonna be building that for, I don't know how long.
10 years.
Okay, so then the only option is to go left on Bayard. That is a very narrow street. And then you're talking about going to Mott, so you're talking about loops that never get anywhere. And the only option is for the customers to avoid China. They're already like really strapped, and ever since 9/11, we have been shrinking. And it's been seriously tough for all business owners.
Did you use roots because you're a florist?
Yes. The thing is that I don't want to sell a $10 pothos and people are not buying my trees because they cannot bring their cars,
Yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
Did you have any questions you wanted answered?
Can we just abandon this? This is really bad.
That's not the question. Yes, please. Please introduce
I'm just
yourself.
reinforcing what all my community people talking. I just want to add.
Say your name, my dear.
What's your name?
Eleanor
Eleanor.
from the Chinatown Cove Block. And I'm concerned because no parking, commercial parking on Canal Street. There, other than the bakery shops, grocery store, jewelry store, medical offices, all those seafood place too, seafood market on Rocket Street. There are lots of banks on both sides of Canal Street, on the right side, on the left side. If you do not allow parking, the bank needs shipment from the Federal Reserve Bank with the Bring armored truck. So how are they going to go park next to the bank? This is very important. Also, the bank also have another truck called the Iron Mountain to help the bank shred all the confidential documents for the customers. They also arrive in front of the banks, and when they got the garbage of the bank's information, it's right shred inside the car, right next to the bank. They did not move it back to another place. So these are very important points if you do not allow parking on Canal Street. The bank cannot function, right?
Geez, sorry, Eleanor.
You guys have
Gotcha.
to check with Diamond.
Just a question, because like, this wouldn't be, assuming this happens, this wouldn't be the only place where there are sidewalk extensions and businesses that are on the curb there. Can you tell us about what your experience is with these situations? Like how has loading and unloading worked in similar situations? How have the businesses performed? Have they been harmed or helped?
Yes, I'm not gonna go into details, but we have done similar we call them super sidewalks. They're just a block long curb extension. We have done those in many places in Midtown, Seventh Avenue, 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue, Lexington, in certain spots, right? So we have done those, we have done these. Some of them have parking lanes, some of them don't. And we have generally found that I know this crowd disagrees with me, but we've generally found that the businesses do just fine. That we find a way around it, we work with them, we keep in touch, and if there are certain needs that we can address, we address them.
Right.
Like there's a right turn bay that was added at 46th Street and 8th Avenue because of whatever. Maybe it was 48th, whatever it was.
So have you seen that trucks are diverting into other streets? Are they just parking in the travel lane when there's no parking lane? Cause I feel like that's already happening on Canal Street. I mean, a lot of the places their loading zones are not loading zones. They're just placard parking all the time anyway.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, there's so many of them, it's hard to
Yeah.
we are thinking, I think I know what you're getting at, which is been well heard, creating a.
Sorry, Jess, that was for you.
Object that is more hostile to the loading. Like if you had a giant wall, you wouldn't naturally pull up and try and get in and out of a car or load your pothos in and out of your car if there was a giant wall there. So that actually deters what you're talking about. And we could do that here, or we could not. I mean, it's a little more, like I said, it's more hostile, right? So it's not as beautiful.
So I've got two things. One, with all the plans where you say you're gonna push commercial loading and unloading onto side streets, does that mean that those side streets would no longer be able to apply for roadway dining? Because the problem that I'm struggling with here is we only have a limited number of commercial spaces. And currently roadway dining, having been on Mott Street after your last presentation, we walked all through the neighborhood to go find a place to eat. And we went up Little Italy and down into Chinatown. We ended up walking, and every place had outdoor dining at some point in those neighborhoods. Even on the narrower streets, they put out whatever the max they can. So now if we're gonna say from a conceptual plan that people can load and unload on the side streets, are you going to restrict those side streets to not have roadway dining? And if you're not going to restrict those side streets to not having roadway dining, then there is no loading and unloading, because we just looked through a whole series of bills about allowing roadway dining. If Jess has a restaurant and the owner of Betty's building says that he can put his roadway dining all the way in front of her business, even though she's a renter and she doesn't know yet, right? Then when these guys come around the corner because they need to do drop off and deliveries, the entire side of the side street is now gone. Because there is no drop off, because the entire commercial space is taken, because Jess has added, no offense to you, my dear, 2 sets of, storefronts worth. So all of a sudden I'm realizing, and I'm looking at the side streets, I'm thinking, wait a minute, we all went out. Where are they gonna go? Would there be restrictions then on the side streets? If you remove all the commercial parking, where are the commercial parking gonna go? And do you then add restrictions for roadbed?
So the plan that, I don't have the numbers in front of me anymore. We did this a couple of years ago at this point. We came up with a plan to change all the curb regs on all the side streets on this screen and the one before that, to accommodate those. In those, I can't give you the details, but that was the idea. Like, we found all the commercial parking, we found a new spot for it. Yes, that means that some of the residential parking, or whatever you want to call it, ASP parking, alternate side parking, was revised and
disappeared.
To the dining question, yes, that is a fallout of
which is a
So
problem for the business.
that actually will then negatively impact
The businesses.
the restaurants,
Yeah.
which are already struggling. So when you come back to the community, I think the community needs to understand where the regs are changing. And if it is a restaurant, would it still be allowed to have roadway or not on the side streets? If you're pushing if you're getting rid of all the parking, and can you go back one slide, please? For all, and on Canal, and you're pushing everything onto the side streets, we need to see an idea of what that means for parking, like a full picture. So where are the rules and regs changing? How deep onto the side street is it? Where is there currently a roadbed dining that will no longer be allowed? Because that's a conversation that the Chinatown business community should really understand as well. Because what it sounds to me like is we're pitting business against business, which is the ultimate bad thing to do.
Yeah, type of business against type of business.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point, 'cause like the outdoor dining program, those, is subordinate to other curb needs and that's very clear.
But they're in
That's nice, but
existence.
Jess has a really nice business out there now, and he's been there for 3 years, and we're gonna change Canal Street, and I need to drive have my deliveries.
Maybe the
And
restaurant needs a delivery.
then he can no longer have his roadway dining because,
It is part of the program and that's what people agree to. I agree that it's something that should be evaluated and considered. But I just mean to say that when we enter into agreements with restaurants, that is something that they understand that they might need to move for other city needs.
I get that. I completely hear what you're saying. Sidewalk dining is permanent, 365 now. And I don't see any restaurant who's spent that money for roadbed thinking that's fair. We're gonna have the same conversations that we have had with other things that were promised and rescinded or reevaluated. And I think that that's a large conversation that in this zone, we should understand the full picture on, because all of a sudden I was like, oh,
And because the roads are so narrow down in this area here.
the side streets.
On the side streets, it's very different than Midtown.
Yep.
Very different.
And I'm just gonna,
And different kinds of, different types of stores. Yes, you've got tourists, but it's a different kind of store. You don't have the encroachment into the sidewalk.
and I will say on 7th and 8th and the wider roads that you're using as a
Yeah.
comparison are comparable to Canal only in its metrics.
Yeah, that's it.
Not in its contextuality of what's around it, right? I understand on 8th, there are a lot of smaller buildings like we have in Chinatown, but they're in smaller sections. It's not the whole road. And if you've ever gone up that way, my vet's up that way. So we go up 8th Avenue all the time and there's floating parking that you can have. And when the trucks don't find a place, they park in the travel lanes,
Yeah.
period. And I don't see that changing, unfortunately, because as we started and as we ended, no matter how well you guys engineer it,
It's gonna,
There's going to be,
yeah.
to the earlier question about our curbside moving lanes for rush hours. Ooh, our engineers love to engineer something and then we go in and evaluate it. That would be the case here.
I just think that before you do anything like this, a full picture with how the commercial businesses are gonna park their cars, where, how they get deliveries, and how that affects outdoor dining and the applicability on the side streets for that is gonna be critical. Whether or not it's okay that they'll lose it, that's all right. That may not be all right for
Yeah.
them. And that, from a conceptual conversation, we should really understand that. Don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. But I do want the sheriff to make everything better.
Hi, so I don't mean to be facetious with this question, but, this is something that nags at me. And, I used to have an open line to Ed Pinkar at the time, and even in your language and how we speak here, you're always comparing it to other situations in the city, and you are using that to, come up with your ideas and your justifications for those ideas. But have you considered that there is nowhere like Canal Street corridor,
That's correct.
where there is entry points on both sides in a narrow part of Manhattan? So instead of narrowing it, it should be widened. And I hate to harp on the NYPD issue, but that's how you widen it, because all of that parking and all that placard abuse and all of that is what's making it narrower. Are you considering that, or are you just, I understand the need to go study what you have done in the past, but I don't think I can't think of anything in New York City that compares to this. A short distance with 2 entry points on both sides. This is very unique.
It's definitely unique. I don't dispute that.
Right, but it seems like your solutions are always like just how you answered Jess. Oh, we did it at 47th and whatever, and this worked here, and you know, Ed used to say that to me. Oh, no, I put the bus lane here, and this works really well because it exists over here, and here are some other places where we've used that. And I said, none of that compares, and nothing compares to Canal Street. I'm just saying, like, like, that's why I'm saying it, anything that narrows.
And I think the reason that nothing's happened on Canal Street is exactly what you're thinking. Nothing compares to it. We find it very challenging to work on Canal Street. And so many people at DOT have said, well, I want to try. And then they were like, no, this is too hard. I'm not going to do it. We decided to keep going, to keep trying. We're here to talk to you.
Yeah.
We're here to get this feedback. We're going to revise the proposal. That is a promise. What we revise it to is not promised, but we'll come back. And all I can say is, yes,
When you
yes,
I
we
just
definitely considered that it's different.
Right,
And
I just asked you to ask yourselves. when you
Triple,
say, hey,
triple,
this worked
triple.
before.
Triple.
Of just right thing in
Triple.
general. I think the consensus, we really do want to move forward because we need change. We can't be frozen in the past because everybody's bullying them, so they refuse to do anything. By all means, go to the next administration, somehow this will work out, and hopefully we'll get some feedback from the changes being made and some modifications that will occur in response to these various talks we're doing now. But yeah, I'm gonna ask you, we're gonna move on.
We need to do a resolution though, as official feedback.
To move on.
Yeah.
Go to the next. If you'd like.
We're not asking for a resolution. If you want to, go ahead.
I think for community board one, even if we do even if we send you a letter that says, here are the concerns we've heard, here are suggestions that have been made, without coming forward, because I think the one thing everyone can agree on is everyone, right, wants safety.
Yes.
Everyone wants something better for the pedestrians, but the biggest fear in the room was no matter how well you engineer and design it, it's doomed to fail without the other agencies doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
And that is a bigger thing that we as a community board need to bring to the new administration. We need DOT, NYPD, transit, and DCWP, who's vendor enforcement, and to really sit down. Again, if you can come back and say, oh, we've spoken with transit, they can do they're gonna put a booth over here. It's kind of cool, right? Or we've spoken to the bid on the north side of Canal Street. They're willing to do X and Y. I think we'll be a better position to be in, to be able to say the community is really supportive of everything. Here's what we understand where the commercial parking is going. Here's where roadbed would be prohibited. Here's who's losing roadbed. Those kinds of things, I think.
Okay, so I had some, if you'd like to talk about the timeline, is anything to introduce about that?
Only in that this is plus or minus a month that moved here or there. This is what we said we were gonna do from the spring, from the start, and that's why we're still showing the same stuff. We said we were going to take this on the road and talk to as many people as we can, as we're doing tonight. And in February or March, it's late. February or March, we hope to come back. Maybe it's April if we need more time, but that would be the vision.
Okay, so, yeah, this is a good time to remind people that my guess is we're gonna be asked to do another resolution at that point. So again, I am pushing for it, and I'm hard to craft some words that were much more general about where there's shared agreement. Some of the details will be within the whereas statements, but also there's going to be another resolution in the future when we have a more definitive plan than this. Go to the next one.
I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I don't either. Go to the next.
You mean,
That's the end.
That's what they just go to the end. It's more slides.
Yeah, there's other stuff in case we need to.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll look at that later.
You can look at that.
You have it.
Yes, you can go on, because we did the discussion already, so let's skip that. Yeah, and there are three statements that I came up with that I kept hearing over and over again. One is, we've long requested changes and support improvements that will improve safety and accessibility, which are the goals of this project, between the Holland Tunnel and the Manhattan Bridge, which is the distance of this particular project.
West Street and the Manhattan Bridge.
West Street instead of the Holland Tunnel, but the Holland Tunnel will include West Street.
No,
But it's, okay, but insists that one, mobility along the corridor be efficient, because we do want it to keep moving. We want the needs, and that is for bikes, cars, and bicycles.
that would be a good thing.
And also the need for loading and unloading of deliveries and people are met, because that has to be done. And that vending is kept in check. Those are the biggest concerns. but there could be others. Enforcement will also be, therefore further resolved. Enforcement will need to be, realize the advantages of sidewalk widening and the proposed changes to traffic, bike lanes, pedestrian crossings, deliveries and parking. Therefore, we're gonna ask our elected officials, urging them to pursue legislation for automated enforcement that could mitigate these issues of concern.
I don't know the last sentence. I mean, I like it. I don't know that.
We were also
Automated
talking about
enforcement
separate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was like a whole separate.
And I don't mind elected officials pursuing something, but
it's not gonna,
yeah. That would make it-
unfortunately, automated enforcement
won't make a
is a
difference.
ticket in the mail. And what we've learned is,
Nobody cares.
it doesn't solve the day-to-day on the ground issues.
That's the only,
Very effective.
it's the only enforcement we're gonna get.
Take out automated and then it's enforcement generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna ask the elected officials for enforcement in general.
To pursue legislation enforcement. That's
I mean, we
okay.
want all kinds of enforcement. I want the guy walking up and down the street who's making millions for the city, ticketing and booting people, quite frankly.
To be paid attention.
It is enforcement and automated enforcement, because it's the politicians that we need in Albany for the automated.
What kind of automated are we talking about? Are we talking
Yeah, I
about
don't
red
know.
light? We're talking about the.
Red light camera?
Look at,
Block the box.
proposed to do.
Walking box, what?
We don't have a
The bike lanes.
block the box.
Yeah, well, that's.
They need people there to.
We have a whole bunch, no, automated. There are a whole bunch of things that
I
aren't.
don't know, I know that that was in the conversation about the bus camera enforcement, but I don't know if that was one of the violations that was
I
taken
think,
out.
so this is not official.
Yeah.
I think Block the Box is in the works.
It's, we definitely.
But it's not,
About it.
it's not there. It's not like necessarily next month or anything, but they're working on it.
We're gonna hope to bring that up soon anyway, but this was again to reinforce what we're asking for. I hate to see an opportunity ask for, we want more of these things looked at. It's definitely a problem.
Have we also looked at moving the stop lines back at,
That was a good suggestion.
You know, the
Good
stop
to have,
line.
Yeah.
There's my one of the night.
We certainly can look at it.
Just stuff in mind.
But because that could be a good, I mean, it's a suggestion. I mean, do we want to put that in?
for somebody who follows the law, it's lovely. For
Yeah.
people who don't,
Substantively, no.
Say crosswalk, that's all.
Okay, are you?
I'm
the
raising
sidewalk
my-
that I'm hearing, is it, no,
No, yeah.
I'm talking about, is there a recommendation that you want for another, therefore be it resolved? Do you want to go to the third one and then add what you?
Oh, let's do the third
Just do
one.
everything first.
Let's go to the third one and flip to the next slide. And this is again, understanding the benefits, but we're asking for a capital project to follow us.
Me
Then we
too.
find- Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you would be supportive of it.
Please.
So again, some of the things that you're asking for that they have said we can't necessarily do with this shorter term quick fixes. This is the follow-up that we learned about with the bike lanes from the Brooklyn Bridge at Center Street. They said by all means, follow it up for requests that we learn from this and move on for a capital project in the future.
The only thing I don't like about the language is that it's, okay, we're gonna do this with paper, and then we're gonna come back when we get the money in the capital plan and make it solid. What if we want something else? Or what
So
if we
you
don't like
want
that?
linear-
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
It doesn't.
with the way it's
But I
written,
think the way,
the
I
way
think
it's
what she's
written,
saying is.
yeah, that's all I'm wording, not
Is
the
that the
sentiment.
temporary measures should be evaluated.
Yes, thank you.
And considered
In the context.
I
In
understand.
the, in the context of,
You don't like, you don't like that the words will be replaced with permanent materials, right?
yes,
Correct.
because it sounds like
Replace
this
them.
is getting replaced with that. That's all, it's just the words. I 100% agree with the sentiment behind it, where we want a big plan, we want to get it fixed, whatever, that, I think we all are on that same page of that.
The only problem that I have with this, I don't think this doesn't encapsulate the feedback that was given for changes that people would like to see.
That's correct.
And that is a concern that I have.
And I think
Because
we need
yes,
to do it.
the survey is the main form of feedback, I
But we
believe, that we were told that's gonna be taken in. So we will ask everybody to do the survey,
But,
but I guess for Dan and Danielle, and Kate, should we be taking all the feedback that was heard and putting it in section by section and sending it?
So Sam was recording every comment So we are recording every comment. You're welcome
If
to
you
do
guys
it
want to be
too.
on the record with certain
Yeah.
concerns or certain things you'd like to
think
see in the next.
I think you suggested you were going to write a letter.
I think we could do
Yeah,
it by a
You're
letter.
welcome to do
cover
it.
sheet.
We have a database of all of the comments that we've heard from every meeting and every survey. And we're, they usually categorize under one of, 15 different categories. We go from there. That's how we're doing it.
That the majority of the business owners are not aware of what's happening.
We have been flyering them
In
all the
Chinese?
time. We have a flyer that's Chinese on one side and English on the other side. We are going, if it hasn't happened, it's happening like in the next. There was an email instigating another flyering effort. I don't know if it was this week or last week or next week, but it's
I think
coming.
the point is that this work will have collateral consequences on the avenues and blocks that are adjacent to it, and the flyers are entirely accurate.
Right, we're gonna need to go outside a little bit.
And just
Good point.
if there are suggestions about ways to
And
reach.
just because you're throwing out flyers out there, right? Is it getting into right hands? I mean, don't you think it should go to the business owner instead of a worker who doesn't care?
Is there a good way to reach the business owners specifically? I think, we go out and we interact with people who
I
are there.
think we should have, and I think I can speak like, we can actually spread the message. And instead of just having things happen, because you have to understand, these are super narrow streets. It's not as you can make the turn, it's that it's easy. If there's a big truck that needs to make a turn, they can't, and then it'll be stuck. It's a bottleneck. It's not gonna happen.
And just in terms of the outreach, so I think this is again like step one in our outreach, but we're interested in getting more.
But it really bothers me that, we're gonna do this in the spring.
But she's asking you for your help or your ideas about,
People who'd be helping.
yeah,
with your
How
volunteers.
can they
get
reach the people
to the
who,
business owner?
yeah.
I think we should, I would volunteer. I would actually get it to the business owner instead of just, I'm giving you a flyer here. And if that person doesn't really speak the language, they don't really understand, they took it and then that's
But
it, it
what
went
we're
away.
talking about, Yeah.
Okay.
And so what can we
That's
do to
what-
help
that's what I'm-
facilitate that? Would you want us to give you physical flyers or
I
send
think
you?
a couple of things. I think it cannot just be, something that happens once. It has to happen like multiple times. It has to happen. And you guys have to evaluate how the traffic is within those little streets. I mean, listen, I drive to Tribeca every single day. I know it like it's the back of my hand. You have, all the streets, you can pretty much have two lanes of traffic. You don't have that on Bayard. You don't have that on Mott or Mulberry.
So would you like to give her some kind of contact information so that you could talk to
Sure.
one?
But I think we need to do this like
Yeah,
multiple
I think the
weeks.
problem is, what she's saying is the business owners aren't being reached, so we can try and help you with the business owners, but how do you get? Is the expectation that the business owners are filling in a survey after what they've seen?
The,
If there's another means by which they want to give feedback, I think we're happy to talk about that. The survey has been our main vehicle, but if there's questions, I think we're just looking.
The
for-
issue that I have with the surveys, it doesn't give alternatives. It doesn't, and it's a very linear, yes, we want traffic safety. Of course, everybody wants traffic safety. But it doesn't, within the survey itself, provide opportunities for a more detailed feedback that people understand that they can give nuance.
So I think we're open to what would be most helpful to make sure we reach those people and get that feedback, and we can continue the conversation about that, but I think we're open to what you think would be helpful.
Downtown Chamber of Commerce?
What about the traffic studies on all the side streets and all the perpendicular and parallel streets?
And traffic and parking, because I'm not talking about private cars or alternate sides of the street parking. I'm talking about commercial and how that works.
yes, the answer is yes. Yes, we have considered all of that. That's a part of our proposal. Yes, we will continue to consider it all.
But have you shared?
I think for the business owners, there's not enough detail in any of the presentation material nor the survey to have people understand that. It's very difficult to understand the turns that are being eliminated. And it was very difficult to understand when you're taking a look at it, that curb bump out is a curb bump out, and that means that all the commercial parking is leaving.
Right,
I think that there's,
If there's a survey, right, can you put an illustration of all the commercial spots that will be non-existent anymore? I think it's very important that the business owners get a complete picture of what's gonna go on, or else it's really gonna be unfair.
yeah.
We certainly have no intention to mislead anybody or miss it.
It's not intent, we
No.
understand that, it's just, it's how, I can talk to you about food and beverage all day long, but if you're somebody who's only ever eaten mac and cheese, you're not gonna understand a dang thing of what I'm talking about. It's about interpretation based on
And
experience.
then put in the
And that's
language
just-
barrier and everything else, not
Right.
with you personally, but the people, and part of it is those pictures don't make much sense
They,
to me.
they don't make
quite
enough,
frankly. And they're nothing bad, it's just, it's so hard to understand, so you need to go
I think
through.
maybe for the businesses specifically, they need a different
Kind of
level of engagement that we
Perhaps
can
we
help
could
you
set
with.
up.
Maybe Wellington can help. I don't know if Wellington can. I know Jan and Vera maybe can. But I think maybe getting the news out through the local bank, I hate to put it that way because all of them have to go through the bank, right? And getting something in the community so as they're walking down, they can understand
Maybe you guys, if
the
I may,
commercial.
set up, you
impact.
set up the meeting, they'll come to your meeting. And then it gets organized where we can go through and you just focus on the
That
last
was the
three
problem
slides.
is They went door to
Like-
door.
And you go
and the
bing,
person
bing,
in
bing,
the
and focus
store
on the
is
area
ignoring
that's most important to them.
But yeah, door to door is.
And stuff, whatever, we can
Streets.
think things that, I think in terms of the renderings, I think they're very vague, because this is still a concept. and I think
Like, people pay attention.
That we might have something more organized, or we have some more feedback. I think right now it is a little bit of a blank slate, because we're still.
But this way you can kind of like show them what you're talking about though. It's
So,
good ideas in your head. of
If,
where you wanna go.
if we tried to help with the other CBs and the local merchants and tried to get a business thing, a business Zoom or whatever, what's gonna be easiest for DOT to try and be able to have a conversation with the business people? What can we do to make your outreach easier? That's kind of where I wanna go. Cause you've done a lot of meetings and it's worked really well for the people who've been able to be here. And just trying to figure out how we can amplify where we're going, cause we want to go somewhere. And then the only other thing I wanna try and, with us, whenever we do a resolution, we need to make sure that there's there's a commentary about vending that's different, because there's all kinds of things about vending. And that's a safety and security thing, but we also have to think of roadbed, sidewalk cafes, right?
Yeah.
And street and sidewalk vending, that's done legally by the food and beverage merchants who have the space outside their store. Like,
Those things would still be in the whereas,
it's in a nuance, yeah,
in the letter, isn't it?
yeah.
You're not
But
typically
I, for the thing,
voting on.
figure out how we can help you to get to the businesses and how we can do that and in what form works for DOT.
What would be very helpful is having some feedback consolidated or questions that people have that we can then review and respond to, because I presume a lot of people have some of the same questions and probably a lot of the questions that were brought up here, and as we're refining our proposal, understanding what feedback, if there's anything new, that hasn't been heard here yet, that would be useful to know. I think the suggestion about side street outreach is a good point. So, I think when we have folks out there flyering, we could talk about extending that, but, any kind of work you guys can do to consolidate what the feedback and questions are, so we can respond.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, again, we don't have final answers to anything right now, because we're still looking, we're still developing a proposal, so I think, the feedback that people have, will be helpful, and just questions they might have that aren't addressed.
You've done a lot of work.
Yeah, you guys
And there's
have.
so much more to go, and we just wanna make sure that, people aren't screaming when the bulldozers and the paint trucks roll down the street and,
They're gonna be.
They do that anyway. We've been working on Resolute.
yeah,
But
just try and minimize it, so
Let's
You
move.
doing what?
Jan and Susan and Triple.
See you all.
See you again, figure out.
It's easier in a couple of months.
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Side streets. Side streets.
We doing a resolution or what?
Yes,
So we're gonna do a resolution tonight now?
Do you think we
we
should?
have to do it tonight, but it has to be done, because in December, which is
I
the
think-
charge I was given.
What's the
I think-
reason behind it?
I'm not as, they don't have a solid, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not the plan that's going in, you're coming
That's
back
correct.
with a plan.
They said in March or April.
Right, so I think it can be a resolution of, this is what we've heard. This is what the community has said, we're excited and looking forward to a long-standing solution. Please hear, this is the stuff that we've said, because this is not to DOT. We've gotten ourselves in warm water before because we don't have a resolution, we don't have a voice on file. So having a voice on file is an important aspect. And it's a work in progress. So what we don't want to be in the seat is going, but Danielle, Kate, didn't you hear this? Didn't you hear that? We don't want to
yeah.
that's like a bad, nasty dialogue, right? We want to partner, give all the feedback saying, here's everything that we heard. So DOT has a chance to come back and say, we heard all the things you told us, and here are ways that we can address them. Here are things that we can address. Okay, great. At least that puts you in a point that we're not always in a reactive mode. We're trying to be helpful along the way.
So that would be the reason.
And that is the
do
reason
it.
for a resolution.
So Betty, if we do a reso, would you add a bullet, one of those whereases that says transportation capacity and functionality need to be maintained? Because that's different than mobility along the corridor be efficient.
That can be done, it's been done in the past, I mean.
Yeah, I like that wording, thank you.
We're used to that wording from Aaron.
Oh, from Eric, I like it. I like it.
I want to make sure we understand what that means, because oftentimes I think you mean maintaining 4 lanes of, right, so it can't be maintained.
He says capacity.
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 It's fine.
Capacity is not,
Not.
Size.
That's right.
Square
That's right.
footage. Okay, great.
So that replaces mobility be efficient
No.
or no, and number 4, in addition to, okay, I'm just asking for
Yeah.
clarification.
Fine, that includes pedestrians.
Yeah, it's everybody, yeah.
But
As
does-
it should be.
Does achieve what you're saying?
Nope.
It doesn't, right? Like
we're
you're,
gonna take all the little comments that we had,
Yeah.
summarize them all and stick them all in. Because, I mean,
Not
it's,
resolution.
Yeah, I think
resolution.
we need to.
or in the,
It can be a side letter, what you're adding to whereas you can continue to add forever.
right, like,
it's not a,
because we're gonna
Because all
take
the
it to
conflicting
board.
comments.
We're gonna take it to full
Okay.
board and be, okay, so so it's not gonna say
This is everything.
this is what we've heard.
this,
Which is
it's gonna say, here are comments that have been received thus far. And
Yeah,
that's it.
and it's comments. and
It's comments and
it's
feedback that's been
And it's
received thus far.
memorializing in the their voices.
It's not a
Is that
resolution.
appropriate for a resolution? That's
That
like,
is not appropriate for resolution.
I think,
I think
I
it
think,
is.
I think it's appropriate for here is feedback we have heard from the community thus
I
far.
agree with that
To
completely.
be included, addressed, and considered in a final plan. People just need to understand, this is not a final plan, and if there's more commentary, they go and fill out the
Then
survey.
what about a whereas saying there will also be a list of everything that's been stated so far? Because the comments stated so far are valuable, but keep in mind, they come from all different directions, from all different people.
yeah.
And
So-
that's,
And that's exactly what they need.
but we're
Yes,
not,
but that's not a resolution. Why can't?
that's not true.
But- but-
We've done this, Betty,
Yes,
we
it
have
is.
done this with resiliency. We have done it with
Yeah.
borough-based jail. We have done it this way with many large capital projects.
They were long laundry lists.
Oh, they were conflicting things
They
though.
were very.
When this is put in a draw somewhere, do we want it to be letter form or resolution form?
Res-
Well, it has to be both, was originally how we started.
Right, the resolution,
It doesn't.
it has to be together. It has to be one doc that gets sent. That's it.
With the letter.
And the letter says, hey,
What's the letter?
thanks for all of your time. Here's everything we heard.
Oh, so
And-
that's like the
and-
thing.
and-
So then it needs to be in the
If
resolution.
it goes as a resolution,
As whereas.
we can agree to disagree on that.
I mean,
All the feedback should go
Well, I
as
guess
the,
you gotta
as,
go to the committee.
it's not about running the committee. It's about capitalizing on all the information that we were given and representing our role as an advocate. We don't just say,
community,
hey,
yeah.
great.
And I have said, I would even acknowledge that in a whereas, that there is this long list somewhere.
But,
I'm
but,
saying is it doesn't need to be.
But what are we
but
voting?
what is that somewhere?
What are we voting on? We're,
This is all the feedback that's heard, this is the work of the board, this is the community feedback that we hope to see addressed in a final design.
but you're not gonna get agreement that everyone wants those.
I was gonna
every
say,
change.
he's gonna vote it down.
But
It's,
it's
it's not
not a-
about being in agreement.
I know.
These are things that they come back to us with information. It's questions that were asked. That's what it's about.
So why don't we put it where?
We're not making recommendations necessarily.
Yeah, we're-
Here are concerns that were raised about this,
Sandy,
concerns.
you wanna make sure that all these comments are not forgotten from time, or at least.
Correct.
I agree, but again, it does not need to be in the body of the resolution. But if you want to put in to say there is an accompanying appendix that includes all of the things that we want to have addressed, by all means, that you can decide, you want it to be therefore be it resolved, or do you want it as a whereas?
No, whereas is what,
It's,
However you want.
the therefore be it resolved asks to review all the commentary that has been presented and be reflected in the future conversation.
yeah, and in the temporary, in the
Kind of like an
temporary
EIS
design.
statement would be.
Yeah,
A
be reflected in the temporary design, or the temporary design for now,
No.
and.
It's not reflected, it can't all be reflected, but DOT is responsive to all of the feedback. They're gonna come back and say, yes, we can do this, no, we can't do that. We decided this is a different approach, hey, we found this thing that we could do, hey, we talked to this person and they can do that, and that's just where that is.
More concerned about memorializing everything and getting everyone to agree on all the
Or
considerations.
if
We're
they're
not
memorializing
agreeing.
it,
It's
if
general.
if you're in the room, the only thing you can say is, oh, no, he didn't say that, he said this.
Right.
That's the only fight. So the full board is gonna look at it and say, well, what's to fight about?
It's like an Alice resolution, this is all the feedback that we got, this
It's
is,
an Alice
that's all it is.
Well, as I say, then out of all fairness, if you include all the things that have been sent to us by many, many people.
Yes.
Again, I would say they don't belong in an appendix perhaps to it, but not within the
Okay.
body, otherwise it's just unreadable and.
Whatever.
No.
I mean,
We don't have time.
Mm.
Terry.
So maybe the way to do it is, CB one has long requested changes to Canal Street and supports improvements as shared during the committee.
No,
meeting.
because they don't wanna,
In an appendix.
they don't wanna say that we support those, all those.
Support the consideration of.
Support the consideration of them, that's what I was trying to say.
Separate, therefore, it's gonna be a be it.
That's
further
fine,
resolved.
but yeah, that, to support the consideration of, that's it, not the improvements, because that's like,
And I'm sorry, but everything has to go in there.
yeah.
Yeah,
But we often do resolutions where we have a list, right?
So make the
So
list
it's-
too,
it-
yeah,
like,
it's in there.
It can be at the end, it can be. So
I
we
just think
do,
about 2 or 3 pages from Alice alone.
So
I
we
have a
do-
bunch of
we
pages.
do
of
lots of
pages
resolutions with lists.
But the reason why we have those resolutions from EP.
So I think we're all
for
saying the same
residency.
thing, a resolution that includes a list,
Oh, yeah, but
not whereas.
I don't care where.
X,
Because 10
whereas
years
Y,
from
whereas
now-
Z.
But guys, the whole point of having it memorialized is 10 years from now, they
No,
will
we're trying to-
understand what was said.
Trying to close this up.
Please. How are you suggesting it be bridged from the list into the document itself?
I think we can do that, we can just say whereas see
I
see
think-
this,
If it's okay to do it this
List
way,
of
I mean,
questions.
we can figure it out afterwards, if the committee will delegate to us the role to get this into a coherent document, as opposed
Well,
to
if they-
trying to write it structured.
Oh, yeah, I would agree that we're not gonna make our list right now.
Right,
It
right,
goes off the recording.
Yeah,
And if it-
exactly.
yes, and if it ends up in a whereas plus,
Yeah.
the therefore be it resolved will essentially be, we want you to consider these things.
We do this
Okay?
with the
Yeah.
budget items every year, we don't do
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
budget item A, whereas.
And in
budget-
Thank you.
EP and DPC, we do the same thing. It's like, we
Yeah.
talk about the concept, which is this, and this is fine.
And we're not gonna take a position
Okay,
essentially.
so we've all agreed.
Correct, this is.
That is not taking a
positioning.
position, that's right.
Okay, great.
It's too early yet to take a position.
It's too late.
And yeah, thank you.
Exactly.
Final form.
Call, question,
Second.
That is fine.
no, we are, that's not true. Betty, we do know what we're voting on. It's the list of everything that was said in the meeting. And that,
And this, yeah, and I think the language here is excellent. with the addition of what Eric said for number 4, right?
No, that's a where.
Oh, and a separate one by itself, okay, that's fine.
And just the adjustment has to say from West Street
Yeah,
to the Manhattan.
Yeah, that's.
that's easy.
Yes. okay.
And then,
And then there needs to be an enforcement on vendor and agency interaction.
Yep.
Well, that could be changed to enforcement as including,
Is that a therefore be it resolved, or is that one on the
no,
list?
there is one on enforcement.
There is,
Enforcement, including automated enforcement. So
yeah.
let's go wait.
Automated isn't done.
How things, this is all about mobility issues. We're talking about the vending and the agency.
Okay, the need for loading,
Was it-
vending
was it the
is
next
to be
one?
kept in check. Yeah, there's 2 pages. What's the other page?
the next one was going to a capital plan.
Okay, yeah, no, we need to very specifically, when we talked about agency coordination.
Yeah, because it's exactly.
To address the illegal vending on the sidewalks. We don't want the vendors, as in AKA the retail stores who are operating legally. We want the dirge of the
Illegal
illegal.
vendors.
So it's enforcement and agency coordination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was a big ask, was the agency
And
coordination.
somehow to, yeah,
And is that what we want to ask our elected officials to help pursue or no? Help facilitate?
well,
Do we need to?
Well, no, they would be for, you
You
need
need
them
mayoral
for
leadership.
automated.
You need them from, you need state for, but you need mayoral for what?
Leadership.
Leadership, so then maybe
yeah.
so we kind of need to put
I mean,
that
we're not
in.
gonna solve the vending issue in this,
No, but we're not solving it, we're
Therefore,
saying
we
pay
resolve it.
attention.
No, but what we're hoping for is that maybe NYPD makes recommendations and NYPD says to DOT, hey, in this area,
We
if
can-
you could put
maybe not
whatever it
the-
is,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
bike rack,
Not
a
bad.
this.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah,
We're
no.
laughing on the side.
But it's not
and-
fun-
and
yeah,
It's not funny at all to the people who showed up here
No.
tonight, who have had their, their livelihoods and their parents' lives at
Threatened,
risk.
yeah.
So we need, the community have asked us to encourage and empower Danielle to get the right people in the room to try and address it.
Yep.
I think therefore be it resolved that DOT and other agencies be.
NYPD, Transit, DCWP, and all,
Try to solve this problem so
including
that we're not
too.
painting lines around an illegal situation as a Band-Aid to a larger problem.
Right.
Which if you don't necessarily have to write it that way, but that's exactly the point. But just having list the agencies.
Stop, she said it.
Okay, you got it?
We can take that from the notes and make it a resolution.
The
Make it a
stickering is
report
at the
themselves.
NYPD, not at everyone that's room.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand how many decades
Yeah, this is
we
not
work on
new
the same problems.
But it's like Dan said, they've been working for 30 years to try and fix Canal Street. Some people dive in and say, yeah, let's do it. I like the puzzle. And some people go, oh heck, I don't want this puzzle.
Or they get
And you know what? We
fussy
can
and-
snicker about NYPD. But you know what? We got new mayor, new days ahead. Let's hope he thinks of something else.
And progress, not perfection. I mean, let's.
Exactly.
Every little bit we can.
You
Alright.
got to on this.
I wouldn't put it that way, but
Mhm.
so do we want to call the question again?
As she did, yeah, and I'll second it. I'll call the question.
I don't get to call the question of the full board. This is so much fun
Second.
for me.
All right, so let's do a vote by affirmation.
You want to run the?
No, I'm asking you, is that what we do?
Let's just take a second here. Okay. Take a deep breath.
5, 6, 7. Okay.
Do you want to do affirmations, Zach?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. All those opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? A unanimous resolution on the street. Put it on the bingo card.
There you go, right?
Was that? Yeah, right.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
We will get this through. This will be amazing. This will be great.
Yes, we.
When this one passed, this is gonna pass full board.
I guarantee this.
You guys, this is gonna pass full board. This isn't gonna be a fight in full board.
Are we doing the last thing or are you adjourning
Is
the
it-
meeting?
What's the
I
last?
thought that was the last thing.
Bike racks.
Well, I'll you.
Oh, the city bike rack.
We go back to the slide.
The city bike rack,
Bike rack.
the city bike station.
Not done yet.
Okay,
We have another quick thing to.
so my question for you,
Here, so.
Yeah. We'll take a session. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We always love visitors.
Yeah.
um, has DOT been able to consider any locations between Chambers and Northmore, east or west side of the street, that would be able to retain that giant bike rack somewhere in that vicinity? Because the city bike station that is currently at Chambers on West Street needs to move because of the
Resilience.
but, yeah, because of the resiliency project. Now, Zach had this amazing kicking app that he sent to, oh my gosh. And about where the usage from that bike station went. Wow, that was super cool. If you looked at it, it was really, really, really neat. Because it showed you that most of the people who took the bike from that station were going north, and it's a DOT link. Can you share that? The DOT link?
The city bike.
The city bike one that you
Ride
sent us?
report. thing.
Yeah.
The heat map of the racks and where they're.
Can
where
you
the
share
volume Coming from?
Yeah. Can you share that in the meeting?
Let me tell you, they're.
Full board?
Yeah.
They're going north and
Share
east,
screen.
and it looks like the same from all of them.
You can share screen it.
So can I say they look the same, except it's a little bit busier than the others.
So they're not going south, so you're saying?
No,
There are very few south. It was
South.
almost all, it was one of the coolest, sorry, like being geeky about it, I apologize, but it was a really cool heat map that showed where the bicycle riders went. And the largest amount of them all went north, up the Greenway, or into the city, you know, along Chambers and things like that. It was really a neat map.
That means that bringing it down to Murray.
Is not a good idea.
Which we could have told you,
Well, no,
right?
let me speak before people make all these assumptions, because I was in on a meeting on this before I came here. I have to wait till.
Okay. Who gets back inside?
That's okay. Keep going.
It's a discussion.
You want to share this?
1, 2,
By all means do, but you're gonna see they look the same.
4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 people.
Yeah, we don't need a vote on this, they can just see it.
This is what I used when I was arguing not to put the city bikes next to Twin Park.
Yep.
This is
Idea how much that's.
super fun stuff.
Oh, I love this.
This is,
That's the one that's going away.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
big.
infographics have gotten even better.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot of use, so.
That's the other one that's near it.
This is June 2025,
It looks kind of the same. And then you
17,000.
go to the one across the street from me, and it looks the same too.
Can you zoom in?
Uh,
Can you zoom in a little bit?
yes,
Zoom in?
yes.
17,000.
Oh, zoom out, you mean make it bigger.
Zoom in. Can you show it closer in?
We're taking them across the river.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently.
right.
Somebody took it on a ferry.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so,
So where
would
do
you
you
slide
put
it, slide the
Well,
map down? a
Would
little?
you let me get on
Yeah,
and tell you what I love?
Love this. It's the coolest thing, come on.
It is, but they all kind of look the same, so you don't learn a whole lot from them, other than.
Yeah.
They're heavily used and people.
Yeah, they all kind of spray.
Yeah, they do. Now. Well, I don't want to forget these things I promised people.
Okay.
We have to go back one first.
I mean,
Please, youth and ed. Keep in mind, they are going to, it's on their, they're doing a resolution on PS 150, that's on Trinity Place, and transportation is invited. It is on the 9th, so it's next week.
what's the, okay.
So I just want to remind people, don't, if you skipped over it, pay attention to it. Battery Park City Authority is in talks with the DOT about repaving of Little West Street, but it's still in talks, but nevertheless, that's where it is.
And I mean,
as far as the bike
Let
rack,
Danielle answer. She was
Yeah.
saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I think in our talks, we've indicated that we don't, it's not our roadway, so we don't pave it. I think in the past, we've filled potholes and things, but it's not.
nobody's ever paved it.
So we wouldn't pave it.
Understood.
It's never been you guys. It's always been them. Just saying.
Well, as I said,
That was our understanding too.
what about Murray and Warren Street? Because those were paved not that long ago, and those would be BCA streets as well.
We'd have to double check.
They said they've never paved any of their streets. Yes.
It's
They've
a
never
new,
paved the street.
that's a new crew who clearly doesn't know the old crew.
Yeah, but
The old
the old crew did
the old
stuff.
That wasn't long ago, when I was coming back from the Jewish Heritage
Oh,
Museum, and
it's like that.
all the roads were torn
Yeah, I
up.
remember
They
that.
were all milled, and I was stuck, like I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because all these big trucks were there. So I knew when it was done, maybe 2-3 years ago. Was that when that meeting was?
So where are we
Longer.
putting the, I'm sorry, I'm lost.
Can we
Where
go
are
back to
putting
the bike rack?
We don't know.
Back to the bike racks, and the fact is, BPCA has not decided yet. They're still working with the DOT on some locations. They would like to keep them west of West Street. The people at Borough Manhattan Community College have no information about the users of by their students. The people from DOT, Rami had said from DOT, there were plenty of bike
BPCA.
options that could be used by the students at the community college, and they didn't see a particular need for it either, to be relocated to that location for their benefit.
What about
It
signs?
would not benefit. Well, and that's what we're looking at. So they are going to investigate now Warren and BC Street. It seems to be one of the more likely ones. It would be next to Goldman Sachs.
Still too-
I know, but I'm telling you,
I know you're
these are the constrictions that they have been told to, and what
They're
BPCA
only-
has been narrowed. I'm just reporting what I heard. If you want to hear it, I won't tell you what I heard.
No, the question I'm asking, Betty, is for DOT. It's not for you and what's being reported by the BPCA, who controls only their own streets.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking is whether or not DOT can have a dialogue with either HRPT, because the only other bike rack in the Hudson River Park Trust is up at Pier 40. So at the northern end of what the BPCA,
So north of Chambers Street.
the northern end of their construction, there's a seating area that's near a crosswalk that's over by Northmore. And what I don't know is whether or not, and there's also a lay-by that's over there and things like that. And the question's gonna be, since the whole area is gonna be under construction, whether or not DOT can work with BPCA to mitigate the loss of that station and just move it north on the west side to retain it in its sort of neighborhood, or because it's a desert, talk to BMCC about putting it on the sidewalk, maybe on the east side of West Street.
But the,
But I can tell you that BPCA does not want to do that.
Yeah.
and the bikes are just gonna get onto West Street?
Yeah, no, you don't really want them on the east
At,
side.
at,
You
at
don't
the,
want
at
on
the
the east
corner,
You know,
But
east side, if you
there
can, if
and
you can
students
help
getting
it.
On and off and.
not at the corner of Chambers, I was thinking further north, near Northmore.
But still, you're kind of straight.
Yeah,
No, you cross Northmore to get to the Greenway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The other thing is,
it talks with the DOT about.
It's
those.
tricky, it's tricky.
but the question is,
Keep it
I did a
close.
ride through with the Hudson River Park Trust, with Chris McGann, coming down the West Side Highway.
mhm.
And so the question starts to become whether or not in HRPT, there's a location at the north end of the Battery Park City construction site that the bike could be relocated.
So where are you saying? By Citigroup? That's there.
No.
Northmore?
Did you guys suggest that to Battery Park City Authority? I know that they're having conversations with our bike share team directly.
As I said, they want to keep it in Battery Park City. They might agree to put it into Hudson River Park, just north of there, with the intention that it will come back again.
Would you
Mhm.
guys
That's
have
what I
to
was
raise that
told, is
with them? Or?
So they were only considering streets in Battery Park City. I think the less that they probably, they're not thinking outside their zone.
They want it in their zone.
Because they have
Why
control.
not
then.
put it on like north end?
Yeah, that's,
They were talking, they've gone through a lot of permutations, and one of the ones that could fit on North End Avenue was going to interfere with the seniors center.
Yeah, because it's right there.
of ambulances and other things pull up all the time. And
Yeah.
it didn't feel like you give up that much curb space. It's a huge station.
You
Yeah, it
don't
is.
have to be near the hallmark. You could be on the backside of the ball field
Warren?
So,
between
Warren.
Warren and Murray.
and that's why one of my questions
They've already
was,
looked at that.
my question was whether or not DOT might be able to be willing to facilitate the dialogue with Hudson River Park Trust and the Battery Park City Authority to put it at the north end, because staying on the west side, so it retains its usage in sort of a general location.
So I guess two things. One, we did explore that location adjacent to the ball fields, and it seems like the curb regulations precluded, but if people
Yeah.
are interested, I
I'm
think
not
we're.
talking down by the ball fields,
Yeah,
I'm
no-
talking
north.
north by the
So
basket.
no one's interested in the
No.
ball. Fields. Battery Park City Authority today said that you guys might be interested in that, so I,
On the south side of
Is
the,
what they want.
on
on
Murray.
the west side, like,
On the west,
On the west side,
on
the ball
west
side.
side
Ball
of the ball fields?
on the backside of the ball fields.
No, they were, yeah. What I was told by them at the authority today was they had asked about on Murray Street, next to the ball fields, on the south, on the north side of the street.
Which is the south side of the ball field.
Right, south side of the ball field. And that they would consider looking at and asking about Warren Street, but they were told by the DOT they could not put it on Murray Street because it was a travel lane. And we all said, it's parking all the time. They said, I know, but the DOT told us it's a travel lane.
so yeah, that we would just, we'd have to revise the curb regulations. We're checking in with our team to see why that current regulation exists and whether it can be changed, but if people aren't interested in that site, we don't need to.
Murray Street is a wider street. Murray is better than Warren. I wouldn't say yes to anything on Warren because of the school.
I was gonna
But
say,
it's very far from Stuyvesant. And that's why I was,
that's kind of why I thought Warren would be closer to.
I think
to the-
if there's a proposed location in the Hudson River Park Trust footprint, Battery Park City Authority should have their own relationship there, but we're happy to check with our bike share team and see if something makes sense from like a network perspective, because when we cite these, it's typically like it needs to be within a certain radius and fit in with the network. So if you have a proposed location, we can see if it works from an operational perspective, and we're happy to engage Hudson
Yeah.
River Park Trust.
my understanding from Raju was, and the team, when we were at the construction meeting and discussing, is that they were only looking within Battery Park City confines. They hadn't spoken to BMCC or the trust about it at that point. I suspect from what Betty's saying, they still have not looked at anything on the north side. But I do think it's a better public benefit and use to keep it, much like you're saying, as close as possible to the original site and maybe even a little north, keeping it on the west side, because that is a desert. That is one of the few desert areas that we have.
For bikes, yep. And it's a bikeway.
And you're on the greenway.
What would help if there were proposed locations?
Okay.
So give it to her with the.
You know what, I'll reach out to Noreen Doyle.
Problem solving. There's a spot at the end of Harrison Street that is where the little,
The seating area,
with the little seating area.
that's what I was
So you
thinking.
could-
So it's Harrison, you said Northmore, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Harrison.
Harrison's better, it's closer too.
But isn't it cobblestones?
Harrison Street, but
But you're not,
we're not
You're
going on
not
Harrison.
Harrison, you're on the west
Oh, you're
side.
talking about in the park.
Right,
Yeah.
because Battery Park City
from
is
there you hop
demolishing.
on the Greenway
Yeah.
to go north, which is
Yeah.
what a lot of people do.
And also they're messing with the,
If the city bike rack was there, just think, but it's by Pier 25 more or less.
There just has to be enough space, like, because getting like a bike and like getting right on a bike lane is a little
It's tricky.
tricky
There's this,
and dangerous.
right.
but
And
you got entrances
I
at Pier
think-
25.
Bikes on that rack and they're not supposed to be e-bikes on the green.
So they're demolishing most of the south side there of Hudson River Park Trust. So if it's gonna be unused and you can't get to the basketball courts and you can't do anything like that, then maybe there's a way to create space for the bikes there until they move back.
The basketball courts is by the.
But it's a problem, because a lot of people use this stock, and I imagine it's a lot of students too.
Yeah, I would imagine. Where are the basketball courts? The dog run? The basketball courts north of the dog run? No, they're south of the park.
Okay,
But they're on it.
I mean, do you wanna do a resolution to keep it as close as
We don't have a
possible?
quorum.
no,
You know,
For now, and they are still working on.
That's the best people.
As far as the BPCA is concerned, they're still kind of.
One. Nope, 9 more.
So
1, 2, 3,
that's
4,
everything.
5.
I have to show you one slide.
We only have 5. He's not on the committee. We only have 5.
5 is quorum. Right.
Okay, so we're good. So gotta walk my dogs before they pee all over the house.
You don't have a copy, you can look at it at home. I want to see if anybody else has the same take that I do on this picture. It's very funny.
Oh,
This is Chicago's.
Beautiful.
But this, what does this look like to you?
That,
Like a rainbow?
Yeah, it's Rudolph, right? Isn't it supposed to be Rudolph? No?
looks like a dog, not a reindeer.
Well,
No.
you know, it's a reindeer, but is it gonna eat the bus driver?
Okay, baby. I didn't think that.
No, I actually thought the bus driver was the eyes,
I thought that, yeah, exactly.
like very Japanese anime.
It's a Chicago.
you're really on social, aren't you?
Oh,
I
when I see the last holiday picture, that was.
I've been in Chicago for a long time, so I have people who post these things.
We do that.
This is right where I used to go. Isn't it nice now? Well, we're back one more. What I noticed is that's the bus stop, but notice there's automated enforcement for the stoplight. There's a sign that's there too.
Nice.
People can see.
That's
It's all
cute.
there. But this is how, and this in April is all the
Traffic
Netherlands
signals.
makes it all tulips. They plant the
Oh, how
whole
pretty.
street. It's beautiful.
Where is this?
This is Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
I still live on the next block.
No street vendors.
Yeah, right? No, it's just fun.
Yeah, no, they're strict go.
Okay.
Go to the very end, and you can, the seats, it's a happy new year.
Oh. And the evitals that you had there, they're gonna come for exec
Oh, good.
this month because they wanted to come and they were like, can we come? Like transportation's busy. No.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Meeting
adjourned, yes.
Now the blade